fight. He
Hello,
fucking
friends.
wiped his ass with me.
Hello. I'm getting ready.
Oh,
I'm not sure what this game is capped at, but I'm gonna boost the frame rate anyway with lossless scaling.
Side box, scent of mommy,
Lossless,
maybe true
stupid.
mother there. Stone box hard, it hurt. Steel rope in the way. Can't see mother because 4 stones.
You are indeed
Not
first,
only
my
is
boy.
like half my friends' grammar bad.
Wait,
they also
Donkey Kong
use
Country. Wait,
punctuation.
no.
So I feel like I have to read their text
No,
like
I
this
changed
sometimes.
that.
Not naming names.
But you
Still would. Oh God.
lies.
He's coming out of the glory hole.
I was streaming
glory
Donkey Kong
hole.
Country last
Chicken.
time. I updated this shit. What does the stream say?
Cock is
I'm gonna have a
going in the
BF.
glory hole.
In Soviet Russia, cock beats you.
Crash out. Now, as they say.
Yeah, beat his ass. Beat his ass. Oh, glory hole.
It says Transformers right here.
He's coming out of some sort of
Hate you.
galactic glory hole.
All right, hold up. I think it's what's the hotkey? All right, hold on. So I'm excited. I haven't played this one in about
Break the TV?
at least 5 years, maybe even 6. And Fall of Cybertron is the better one. This one you can switch shoulders and everything. It's awesome. Actually, you know what? Hold on, I'm talking to you guys. Let me Let's see. I'm gonna boost it. I'm gonna do it. Yes, allowed. Then I have to make sure it's windowed for one. Oh, let me set up some stuff real quick. Real quick. Well, that's fine. I'm looking for. Shit, this updated. Where's frame generation? Here we go. All right, ×2, boy. 'Cause I think this one might have gotten the 60 frames per second fix. I don't know. Oh shit. Buddy, what up, buddy? How you doing? I got Kit Kats. Okay, how loud is that? It might be a bit on the loud side. Hold on. Let me see how this compares to like my voice. That actually might be a bit loud. Let me turn it down. All right. Settings. Graphics. Full screen. Off. Correct. On. Extra. Just like me. And then we're gonna go to this one. Scale. Can do it. Oh. Let's see. 4, 3, 2, 1. It did it. We're getting frames. All right. How loud is the game? Long time no see. I know it's been a minute. There we go. Save frame. Oh. Yeah. Oh, it's just like the other one, but backwards. Sorry, it's the Autobots this time. Oh wait, it goes back and forth constantly. Oh no, it doesn't. As the arc rockets towards the wormhole in space, Bumblebee fights against the Decepticons. The vocalizing really got me just now. Eager to board and destroy the Autobots' last hope. Everything sounds good? You sure? Okay. Because I gotta add this little nozzle right here. My Stream Deck has knobs. I can just turn down certain sources. Professional. I have a studio over here now. Getting a little too loud? Yeah, I'm working on it. All right. Because like I'm going into the yellow, which is good. The game is gonna. I want the game to just hit the. Just lick it a little bit. Just touch it. There we go. I got Kit Kats. Cooking. Oh yeah. First. Okay, I got some working out. Okay, cool.
We have no choice, Bumblebee. The war is lost.
Welcome in, Rooster. I love you.
Our home is the hardest decision I've ever
I didn't know you were a Transformers fan.
It's been a long, painful war with the Decepticons. Whatever lies beyond that.
Oh, I want subtitles because I'm
best.
a deaf bitch.
Hope, my friend.
No, I just feel like I retain it better if I hear it or if I read it, you know?
We're approaching the portal. That indicates it's growing more unstable. At this rate, it may
One of them.
before we even get there.
I was missing the game. I'm glad you're playing it again. Sup, buddy? Thanks, Joe. And hell yeah, my dad got me into Transformers. Nice. Michael Bay got me into Transformers. No, that's a lie. Beast Wars got me into Transformers. I was missing this game. I'm glad you're playing it. So this is the sequel, Audie. This is them, Joey. They're people now. Lies. Yeah, this is the sequel to the last game I was playing. I beat that one, and this is the next one. And this one's better.
He's been through
Bigger,
worse.
better,
His chip is still
badder.
nothing new there.
Nice.
Energon levels are almost normal.
Look at Ratchet's ratcheting over there. Who's your favorite Transformer,
Follow
Rooster?
the light.
Have I asked you that before? I might have.
That's it. On target. Looking good.
You're a Rat Trap guy, aren't you?
Good here.
Ooh, good question.
Weapons to the deck. Don't fire. I'm a medic. Slam.
I'm talking like across the Transformers multiverse, you know? It could be anyone you want. It could be a Maximal, it could be a fucking Predacon, it could be Autobot, Decepticon, Constructicon, Minibot, I don't give a fuck, Minicon.
Grab this ammo clip. More Decepticons are trying to board. Don't forget to reload.
Decepticons are boarding a ship!
Defend the bridge.
Master Zoom. Nice, I'm getting like a smooth 120 frames. Do any streaming services have the movies? I've only seen the first one, to be honest. To be honest, that's one of the only ones you need to watch. I'm a sucker for the Michael Bay ones just because of how like dumb they are. And I've said before, there are things about, honestly, they're probably on Paramount Plus now I think about it, but check. But there are things, there's other things for streaming services. Yeah, I imagine. Hold on, I can't talk over this chaos. Ah, my brain. I like most of the Michael Bay ones up to like the last one. The Last Night kind of sucks dick, but the action's cool. The action's always great in those. They just get dumber and dumber and dumber and dumber. My favorite one, as I said before, is probably the first one. Go with Soundwave. Solid choice. He's definitely one of my favorite Decepticons. My favorite Decepticon is probably Starscream though. Soundwave, Ratchet, Strap is a close second. I don't even know Strap. Man, pulling from the bottom of the barrel there. You're like, this one. Word, I'll have to look around. But yeah, the first Michael Bay movie is a fucking banger. Second one's stupid. 3 is even dumber, but the second half of that movie is just where it's at. Like this, like once like spoiler alert, but once the Decepticons start Decepticoning all of Chicago, I'm like, yo, and it just turns into a war movie with robots. It's awesome. And then you could probably skip the rest. I will say, while I don't really like Bumblebee, the fights were good, and those like the intro, like the first 3 minutes of that movie are perfect. And I don't know if you guys saw it, but that last one that came out, Transformers 1, way better than the marketing would let you believe. Like that movie was advertised like it'd be like Minions, and no, it is just a good movie. That one, like on a critical level, Transformers 1 might actually be the best Transformers movie.
That mortal Optimus.
I guess it depends on what you're going for. If you want just like dumb Bayhem, which is what Vaughn told me, and I like that term now. And that, I mean, the Michael Bay ones are kind of awesome. But Transformers 1 was just like a very good movie. Like their faces took some getting used to be honest. Oh, I guess I don't go this way. I like the Age of Extinction, just so much fun. I like some of that movie. Like I'll say John Goodman as Hound was brilliant. I fucking love him just because it's fucking John Goodman. I love John Goodman. Drift is a good Autobot. Like I like the Autobots in that movie. And Lockdown was cool, but the plot was kind of... The thing that annoys me about that is like they keep retconning themselves. this is the first time we've encountered humans. And then the next movie comes out, this is the first time we encountered humans. And then that one comes out, the fourth one, they're like, this is the first time we've encountered humans. And we turned dinosaurs into Transformium or whatever the fuck they call it now. Forgot about Hound. Yeah, Hound is probably my favorite one of that bunch. Is the game still too loud? I changed from Ratchet to Hound. Ratchet's good. I like Ratchet. Let me turn it down a little bit. I feel like it's too loud still. Shift to dash. What's your favorite? No, it's perfect. Okay, I'll turn it back up. Yeah, this one's fun. Have you played this before, Scott? It seems that Paramount Plus has most of them. In order, it would be Transformers, and then Transformers Revenge of the Fallen, which is, it's fine. And then there's Transformers Dark of the Moon, which is a fucking banger. Like I said, that first half of the movie, but the second half, dude, that's cinema. I love it. Maybe it seems familiar. I played the first one on Xbox, I think. Nice. Yeah, you probably played it on 360. God damn it, Sherry. He's playing with the box that I left out, and it's scaring me because he's just being loud with it. Bumblebee. Try Rooster. Yeah. Yeah. Wait, Rooster. No pressure. No pressure. But I'm looking forward to your stream whenever you decide to watch this.
5 kills. Calling it right now. Okay, next round though. Next round.
Oh yeah, that was a good one. Oh yeah, well, you were mentioning you wanted to play a co-op game. Did you want to stream that co-op game, my boy? Or is this just something for just us girls here? Middle mouse to melee? And this one lets me switch shoulders. I just forgot how to do it. That was Soundwave. Sure, we can pick up Vegas 1 and 2 on sale. Yeah. That'd be fun, man. Thanks, Audi. Yeah, thank you for the shout out. Best mod. Yeah, this one, I feel like this one had better set pieces. It looks better. The designs got a little bit more complex of the characters, which I like. And they kind of fine-tuned a few of the gripes I did have with the combat. Like I said, being able to switch shoulders is a big deal in third-person shooters. Oh, fuck. I got you, but hold on, let me get some ammo and shit. See, there you go. There you go. Yeah, that's kind of important. That way I don't have to be like, oh, let me expose my whole body so I can pop out of cover. Like, no, I can fucking hug it, you know? Like that. Rooster, my favorite Transformer is Jazz. So it's been Jazz, it'll probably always be Jazz. And I'm not even talking because of the movie. Even though I liked him in the movie, it was really because of G1. He goes, hey, Prime! And he's got like the cool hook handle of the gadgets and shit. Jazz is a good one. Yeah, I like Jazz a lot. That's why when the movie came out and they ripped him in half, I was like, I was like devastating. I was like, no, not that one. Take Ratchet. Leave Jazz alone. Oh, this has stealth kills, I think. I also really like Rat Trap. Shockwave and Soundwave. Optimus. RC. Jazz has some depth in the G1 show. He wasn't just a stereotype like some other robots. Yeah. I mean, I liked his southern accent, which is why it made me laugh in the Michael Bay movie when they updated it. And he was like, "Sup, gangsta bitches?" He was this close to dropping an N-bomb. You know what's funny? I'm like transparent, so you can see the mirror behind me. I don't know. It works. F to change form. Downwave is better than Shock. I thought 10,000%. Oh, I agree. 100,000%. I agree. But he's still fun. Yeah, Modern Jazz is definitely him. Yeah, dude, I'm glad. I don't know, cause like Vaughn and I are Transformers fans. I didn't know you were too, man. We gotta keep you included. Oh shit. I'm not gonna lie, the steering here kind of sucks dick a little bit. Actually, did I play with the controller? Modern Jazz goes around thinking, I wish a motherfucker would. Yeah. So let me play this with mouse and controller. Let me see. Let's see how this goes. Ooh. Right mouse to boost. Hold on. Settings, controls, controller. Then no controller. The controller layout. Let's see. So we got ability. Who was his voice actor in the movie? Did you ever watch The Cosby Show? Remember Theo, his son? That's him. I forgot the actor's name, but he voices Jazz. Dash is left bumper. Find aim. Fire. Change form. That's a good button for that. The oldest son, yeah, Theo Huxtable. No shit, yeah, look it up. Switch weapon, switch camera, interact, jump. Okay. Am I switching stuff? No. Oh, default. Okay. And we'll go back. There we go. This might be better with controller. We'll see. Oh, FDJ, how you doing? No, he doesn't. He's a liar. Check his brow. It's switching. The motherfucker looked left. He's lying. I hate when people say that shit. Don't get your psychology from fucking CSI. Whee! What up, DJ? How you doing? Oh, you're an Autobot. You're a scary ass looking Autobot. Holy shit. Malcolm and Jamal Warner. Yeah, that sounds about right. He was also in Vampires 2. That's the only other movie I know he's ever been in. What up, DJ? How you doing, man? Oh yeah, shout out DJ. What game is that? Oh, that's Spider-Man. That's Spidman. That's Spidman Miles.
You gotta be kidding me.
Oh, it crashed. Oh, fuck. That would piss me off, dude. It's fucked. Spooderman. Spidman. Crashed during a world record run? Oh, fuck, man. That's dirty. Were you speedrunning? This actually feels really good with the controller, by the way. How do I switch? How do I switch? Left and right? There we go, it's B. Have you played this before, DJ? Who's your favorite Transformer? My boy? Let's see. I only have the one weapon.
Through here, Bumblebee. You want to be tip of the spear? We're right behind you.
Up heavy.
Let's go!
Oh, hold left, right, and sprint. Okay, I'll sprint.
Target left! Far left! Target right! I'm hit! Knockdown! Push forward! Head for the smoke!
Centrifugal separation.
Don't want this smoke.
Engine failure at 89%.
Damn, dude. It's Optimus Primate. Oh, Optimus Primal. Nice. No, I haven't played Transformers in years! Exclamation point. And my favorite Transformer is actually not a Transformer. It's Optimus Primate. I mean, what? Is this a joke? Is this like a meme that I'm not aware of? Optimus Primate? Not a Transformer. Because Maximals are Transformers. Optimus Primal. Honestly, Optimus Primate is a really good name. I like that actually. But Optimus Primal technically is a Transformer. He's just not an Autobot. Actually? I always called him that since I was a kid. Oh, I like it. I like it. But yeah, Beast Wars was my first Transformers show. And then I saw Beast Machines, which I still defend. And then it would be Transformers Armada. That was the next one. Optimus Prime, so Optimus is breeding Pokemon now. No, that's kind of what I was thinking. I was like, I couldn't tell if you were joking. Like, this is like a meme or like a terminal montage video I just haven't seen or something. But I like it. Oh, I didn't get him yet. All right, fuck you guys. Die. Okay, he did get him. Relax, monkey. No, it's good. It's good. It's just honestly, you know what I think it is? This game is loud in my ears, so I feel like I'm screaming at you guys. I'm sorry. But how's your night going, man?
We're almost through. Autobots, listen up. Bumblebee's gonna punch through. Give him some cover.
Bumblebee, shut up.
Suppressing fire.
I was never even really a big Bumblebee fan, so when he got a movie spinoff, I was like, okay, all right. Hey, what do I do? Am I really gonna just squeeze in there? It's on fire.
He made it. He's through.
When I was a kid, I was traumatized by hearing the real Optimus Prime is dead and then shown the 1980s Transformers movie. I have that movie. I have it on YouTube. I should have a Blu-ray somewhere. And I have the VHS tape. Yeah, I don't know why they picked Bumblebee. Was he really that popular? Dude, fucking people ate Bumblebee up when they made him mute. Like in those Transformers, like the Michael Bay movies, like people fucking love Bumblebee. And honestly, I like him too. But even before then, I was like, for me, those movies made Bumblebee cooler than he is. Bumblebee, no! About Seeking? Oh, show him Seeking. He said, bleh. His face. Because it was Shia's car and the kids like yellow, and then kids like yellow. I guess. Yes.
Cybertron.
Yeah, but before B in the movies, I don't think I even knew he existed. He definitely made him popular.
Can no longer sustain us.
Let me check some.
Eons of civil war have caused the greatest of
Am I a low frame rate
our
by
planet's
chance?
very core shut down.
Get my Nico the spark.
Of life-giving
Also, it was Hasbro's ploy. Oh, I bet. That's dude. That's what these movies do. They make stuff in hopes that, you know, kids will buy the toys and shit, and then they'll make all the money off of that.
Optimus Prime, leader of the Autobots.
Like, apparently that's what killed Young Justice the first time. I get it. I loved Teen Titans as much as that guy, but like, Young Justice was where it was at. That was the Teen Titans show for me. And what had happened was, as high as the ratings were, they weren't selling toys. So they canceled the show. When they gave Optimus the sword and the fire axe, oh my fucking god, dude, I feel it. Also, like the Cybertron itself is Transformer and the most Inception ass shit. What's it called? It's got a name. It's got a name.
My team will have all systems powered off and
Primus? No.
Good. I'll send the boarding call out momentarily. But first.
Optimus, Decepticons have broken through sectors 9 through 12.
That was Grimlock's post.
More Decepticon squadrons approaching for the north.
Big orange round guy. Not, what the fuck? Shit. Not, what's his face? What's his face? Not Unicron.
We're on our way, Ratchet.
Unicron's separate. Grimlock can be nice. Oh, dude, I think you get to play as Grimlock in here. I want to say Grimlock's playable. Like, you get to play as him, like, in a big, you know, fire-breathing form. T-Rex. Dinosaur! Oh, yeah, let me sprint. Oh, I can't. I don't like the game already. The cars look like ass. They're fine. What I like about it is, like, they take the G1 designs and they're like, let's just Michael Bay it up a little bit. Where's the motorcycle that turns into a ninja? You're talking about RC? I'm not sure if she's in here. I don't think RC's in here. That thing was sick. It had jaws on his chest and 8 smaller Transformers. Yeah, I had a big ass Unicron figure too with the rings that went around him. Dude, do you have pictures of it? No, the black one from the animated series. Which animated series? Are you talking about Optimus or Transformers Prime? Because her name is RC. She's the motorcycle one, basically a ninja. And she was black. Or no, she was blue. Which series? Black Arachnia? I think she was basically a ninja. The boy robot. RC is blue, yeah. It's a boy robot? Turns to a ninja that's black in the animated series. Is it in Prime? Dude, there's like 8 Transformers here. It's just a reskin of RC, basically. Oh, Alita? I think Elite is also a motorcycle. But you said it's a boy. I don't know, Rooster might know. Or he'll be able to do the research that I can't right now. Oh, I can just smash through. Boom! Boom! Prowl? Oh! 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 You're talking about Transformers animated, right? The one from like 2005 or some shit like that? It's up the prime! It's up the prime! Oh shit. Ah, fuck, I just died. I'm dead. I'm dying. I'm dying. I'm dead. Remember that video? I did say animated. Well, you said the animated series. I didn't realize you meant Transformers animated. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Can you find it in your heart to forgive me, DJ? That's the one where, like, Ratchet had, like, a cleft chin with, like, 5 o'clock shadow for some reason, right? That one did have Prowl. He was a motorcycle. I think he was black. Make him repent. Yes! I hated that show. I think I tried to forget it. That's funny. He's black as fuck. Yeah. He was the black one. This is Jazz was actually Jazz wasn't there.
Megatron's timing is as lousy as ever.
Why didn't Grimlock warn us?
Oh, scanning identity. Identity confirmed. Enter Optimus Prime.
We need more Puerto Rican robots.
Look! It's Optimus Prime!
I'm trying to think.
Security is still online.
Remember Mud Flappin's kids? One of them probably could have been Puerto Rican.
Optimus, we tried our best.
I'm gonna call it Fast and Furious, guys. I have Lin-Manuel Miranda directed.
Easy, soldier.
Are you Puerto Rican, DJ?
Thank you, Bumblebee.
I think I got it. Try it now.
Lin-Manuel Miranda.
Do it over.
Yeah, they got me too. They'll do In the Heights too, and it'll have robots. Yes, sir. Nice. I'm black and Mexican.
Optimus, I need your help.
Puerto Rican. Oh, like Miles, not Hamilton. Dude, I actually hate Hamilton. Tried, man. I tried.
We need to stabilize his
She was cringe. In the Heights in space. I'd like to see that actually.
Now,
Silverbolt.
into his power.
Hey, what up, Bloody? How you doing, man? I'm playing the next one. Also, we're talking about In the Heights and Puerto Ricans and robots.
We need that power.
I do not like modern theater. I just thought Hamilton was cringe, dude.
Well met, Ratchet.
Snobby Prime.
I'll handle the rest.
Oh, thanks, Ali. Modern theater is dookie butt cheeks. I'm alright, you? Alright, are you feeling better, dude? I feel like you've been sick for like a month. How was the comedy show, actually? You went to go see Bert Kreischer? Is he as fat and gross as I remember?
Hold on, soldier. I'll get you out.
Is Frank sick too? Frank is better. Just oh, thanks. You're on it. Thanks, Audie. Be gone, bot.
We've got this covered, Jazz.
Oh, Jazz.
Grimlock left his post. I
Back
need
here,
you
man.
to find him.
On my way.
Yeah, that's my boy. Bros, get that bitch out of here. I'm getting better, like 95%. Nice. Still like a bit of a cough, I bet.
Optimus? He's looking for
It was so awesome, super funny. Dude, I want to see his movie, The Machine. Is that what it was called? Based on his story, and he keeps telling.
the nerve center at the south gate.
I think it's him and Mark Hamill, which I did not expect. It's a Burger King crown. I'm gonna say it. Oh, that's funny. Actually, somewhere in my closet, I think I have the Spider-Man Burger King one. Remember that? Bert, I love him. Yes, Machine is his nickname. Yeah, that movie's fantastic. I haven't seen it. It's on my list because I like that stand-up bit. And I saw the trailer. I thought it was pretty funny. Audie! LMFAO. Who's your... Oh, that's a niche reference. I love that you got that, Joey. Oh, I got it. I got it. That's funny. Bert is so fucking funny. I was actually thinking, I was talking with Cyber. I'm probably gonna do a movie night with what's his name? Carnosaur. Carnosaur 1 and 2 at least. Oh, what are we talking about? We got a bitch ass Tyrese, but not The Rock. Don't crucify me, but Bert is not that funny. I think he can be funny at times. I don't know. I'm willing to give him a chance, but I've never seen all of his specials. I remember his machine bit, but his podcast, he kind of annoys me. Bert is like 7 out of 10 funny. That Kool-Aid bit though, with him and Tom, that still cracks me up. He's funnier than his podcast counterpart. Yeah, I'm not really a big fan of the podcast. I like Tom more. What are we doing? Am I buying stuff? What am I doing? Oh, I see. On Prime. Oh, is this right after? I guess I have to switch to the fucking mouse and keyboard right here. Cycle page, cycle page. That's weird. Okay, whatever. Hold on. Upgrade. Sure. Oh, I'm broke. I can't afford that. Too rich for my blood. I also got perks up in this bitch. Health is completely refilled every time you interact with it. Oh, sure. Ammo. Increases your total health. Actually, I'll do that. How much is that? Okay, I'm broke. Never mind. I'll come back to you. Bert is hilarious. Tom is 4 out of 10 funny. He had good timing and presence, but the worst joke flow. He can't get through his own jokes, which can be endearing sometimes, but he comes off as pretentious to me and makes punchlines less funny. Oh, we're talking about Tom. Yeah, Tom can be a bit snooty now. Tom is funnier than Bert. Okay, so I gotta find it, but I have photos with most of the Legion of Shanks. And met Bert in New York City at my 21st birthday. That's the thing with comedy. It only hits if you can relate. Yeah, that's fair.
Gotta get these
I find so many good comedians trash because you can't relate. Yeah. Also, I mean, for me, it's like how well they could tell the story. Because sometimes it's like, you know, I don't have kids and family, but I'll laugh at those jokes sometimes, you know? If they can put me in the spot. I disagree. Comedy can be funny from an outside perspective too. It's all subjective, so anyone's opinion is valid. They almost made me an alcoholic. I like how Warpath is like a fucking drill sergeant here. I would think almost make an alcoholic. I listen to any podcast I wouldn't know, but I do like Bert's stand-up. I can give him another chance. Like I said, like I think I liked him, and then I just got like, kind of like over it. Oh, Warpath. Bro, we just be like Schumer and Schaub in 5 years. Just watch. Oh, Amy Schumer and Brendan Schaub. No, he's better than Schaub. I don't like the podcast, really. I watch highlights, too much fluff. Yeah, the highlights are pretty good. Like I said, like, I don't remember the last time I laughed this hard at a podcast, but it was that Kool-Aid bit with Bert. Rooster, yes. Oh shit, there's a grenade. This game feels pretty good with the controller. Last time I played it was mouse and keyboard. This is also from the era where games were made for console and then they were ported to PC. Nowadays, I think it's all backwards, well, or the other way around, where it's like they make it for PC and then they'll make it work on console with some concessions. God, I gag when I think of Schaub on stage. I actually saw that, was it Dicey or whatever the fuck his name is? That special. That shit was... I wanted to see it to see if it's as bad as they all say. It is that bad. But barely. Oh, okay, he's fine. He's better than Schaub. Okay, see what you're saying. Oh, I need a heavy.
Anything I can use to protect the Autobots.
What's this? No, I like this one more. Actually, I'll switch it up. And those are grenades, I'm guessing. Excuse me. Opti-Prime! Opti-Prime! Imagine being 21 years old in a dive bar in New York City and waves of tequila is coming at you. I was blacked out before the set. Damn, dude. See, the thing with me is when I get drunk, I have to like pee constantly, so it's like I'd be up all the time. Like, at least Amy Schumer is funny to laugh at. Schaub is just sad and pathetic. I'm surprised he tries. I get to pilot this turret. Mount. Bruce, who's your favorite stand-up if you have one? Christopher Titus? I never heard of him. I like Chappelle. I think Chappelle still got it. I had a crush on Schumer once. Then I met a real. Did I meet a real white girl? She's my wife now. Congrats. Chappelle's a close second. I love Chappelle. I don't even think he's really skipped a beat. He's just like his perspective has changed. But he's as clever as ever. Wait, those are Autobots. Where are those bitches at? Far left. Oh, there they are. God damn, this game is chaotic right now. It's Black Hawk Down with fucking robots. Uh oh, there's a turret or a grenade on me. I'm gonna die. Dane Cook is a hack. Yeah. Oh, fuck. Oops. I liked him back in the day. He just steals his jokes and acts like a tool.
Looks like that jetpack will have to wait. Autobots,
Dude,
take defensive
look at that fucking on the animation right here. Look at when I fucking turn into a truck. Boom! He just like belly flops onto the floor. I love that. Sorry. I love that so much. Ah, that's hot. Ah, that's hot. His movies were funny at one point, kinda. That's not a truck. You know what we're saying. It's a robot truck. It's an alien truck. He tries too hard. True bloody. Wait, what did Bloody say? Oh, hold on. Let me fix this actually. Oops. Let's see. Small chat. And OBS. And then let's move you over so I could see what you guys are saying. It's a Nerf car. I like that. Dave Cook sucks in my opinion. He saved my middle school years. Yeah, honestly, like in high school, he was all right, but I kind of grew out of it. I will say I did like Employee of the Month. You know, Welcome was good for a minute and turned out to be awful. Carlos Mencia. Yeah, but even then, I was watching Carlos Mencia and he's just doing like a Joe Rogan impression. Just with a Mexican accent. What is that? Oh, the squirrel.
Perspective this offers.
Decepticon dropship.
We must protect this door at all costs.
What you up to, buddy?
Stand your ground.
I don't suppose you're streaming tonight? I know you stream pretty late.
All right, Prime.
A Nerf car. I like that.
More Decepticons! High left!
Where are you? I can't see everything shaking.
Optimus, fall back!
Keep them away from the nerve center.
Okay, alright, falling back. Oh shit. All you robots look alike. Oh shit, alright, hold on. This weapon sucks, I'll go back to my other one. Fuck.
That's the last of them. Good work, Autobots.
This game is good approximation of what my scientists feel like. Are the Autobots like your white blood cells, and then Decepticons are just fucking boogers? That'd be feel better, dude. Science infections suck. In fact, I think Bloody just got over one. That's what it was, right? It was like a head cold or a sinus infection, dude. Yeah, it was everything in one.
I don't think
Damn,
I can
dude.
handle this death pack by myself.
Well, I'm glad you're feeling better. 95%? Nice.
On 3,
Feel better, Rooster. Yeah, I feel better, dude.
3.
Fever, head cold, sinus infection. Ah.
Warpath.
I hate sinus problems. I already have bad allergies, so it just exacerbates an already existing problem. End up getting antibiotics. Oh, damn. Uh-oh.
Optimus? Perceptor has been waiting for you, sir.
Oh, Perceptor, shit.
At the central hub.
I haven't got the fever yet, so I'm hoping it's not too bad. Yeah, I'm hoping we can get over it quick.
Optimus. Perceptor.
Perceptor!
Terminal.
Yeah, it was bad. I haven't been this sick in forever. Yeah, I was gonna say. I remember it was like 3 weeks later. You're like, "Hey guys, I'm still sick." I was like, "Damn, dude." It happens. I remember one time, you know, in the before times for COVID and all that. Dude, I feel like I had a cough for like 3 months. I was like, "What the fuck is wrong with me?"
We nearly have the nerve center up and running.
Autobots, suck my nuts. Autobots, bend over.
Primus. There goes another molecular fuse. Optimus, if you'd be so kind as to locate.
Jesus, a Perceptor cameo too. Who made this game? Someone who was actually passionate. Yeah, dude, this is from High Noon Studios. If I'm not mistaken, I think they're trapped in the Call of Duty mines now. But yeah, they made great Transformers games. They also made on PS2. If you guys have ever heard of Dark Watch, it's like a cowboy western where it's like you're like a vampire and you're killing like demons and shit. It's fucking great. Oh fuck, I did the same thing. Dash. But yeah, this game was made by fans. You can tell. You can feel it. I know only Perceptor from the toys. I don't think I've seen him in media. He's been in the cartoon before. Because when the movie was coming out, the first movie, 2007,
Right. That should do it.
when YouTube didn't care about whatever copyrighted content you have on there, I bitched all of G1, like all of it.
Megatron's attack. I've been trying to get these weapons online, but they're quite old.
And that's kind of when I got into like the cars.
Everything we have is
Actually, that's a lie. I was a big fan of the anime, Transformers Armada.
try. We'll have to manually redirect the power to the
And I have the game based on that. I actually want to stream that one of these days. YouTube still doesn't care as long as nobody's losing money. Tell that to the auto mods or the auto copyright claimers and all that kind of stuff, where it's like if you have music, it'll just detect it. Like when I uploaded my Maxima video, I had to edit it twice because I kept getting copyright strikes on what the fuck was it? It was the whole thing about the I used a WWE bit, and it was just the audio that triggered a fucking claim. And I was like, fuck off, guys.
Return fire.
I see you.
All clear. Seal the door behind.
I don't believe in that. I firmly believe that there's a handful of vindictive hostages being kept in YouTube basements. They're forced to moderate the entirety of YouTube. It's the only explanation. Now, I think what the problem is that there's just so much content on YouTube that it's impossible for somebody to manually moderate. So, like, we need these AI tools in place. Thank you. It's funny how much that throws me off my track. But yeah, they need to filter out all that content. So there's auto stuff in place, and the thing that sucks though is the manual stuff is usually done fraudulently.
I remember.
Like there's a lot of stuff that would very well fall under fair use that YouTube just won't allow. And it's a problem. I don't believe in it either, but it's reality.
Move it! They're about to get overrun!
Optimus is so cool. You know another thing I like about this one? Because in the first one, it was co-op, right? So even on a single-player playthrough, you have 2 other homies with you, which is cool. But the problem is that like they collide with you. So it's like I'm constantly like, trying to like back up. I'm like I fucking Bumblebee behind me. Or I'm trying to go right and like sideswipes blocking me. I was like, fuck off, guys. Shoot explosives nearby? Sure. Joey, true story. I was on the phone with some appointment person and the smoke alarm beep was going off. I'm pretty sure they were, you know. That's actually pretty good. They were. You know. funny. Dude, so I was hanging out with Dontre, right? Or I think we were playing something and I heard it in the background. I was just like, bro.
Slippery son of a gun, aren't you?
Nope. Nope. Fuck Apple. They're watching us. One of them? One of them? Yeah, one of them.
Grenade incoming! Come back here.
That's as much mercy as I can give.
Rockets on the right!
Stay with me, Autobots. Keep the pressure
Oh shit.
on.
Okay, Joey. You're not him, Joey. You're not him. You're not that guy. Let's go back and take cover, get some health. Give us some fucking energon now! Fuck yeah. Wait, what? No, fuck yeah, they're watching us. Went onto YouTube Shorts, saw 3 videos back to back with Dane Cook. Oh, they are listening. It's gross. Yeah, it's pretty gnarly. Ew, I'm so sorry. Do you need any emotional support? Hey Joe, I just want to say hi. I have an amazing stream before jumping online. Okay, well, thank you. I appreciate that. I hope you enjoy VR chat. I guess where you're going to. Enjoy your Batman hours. Oh yeah, everybody give Angel a follow. I'm trying to get this girl affiliated. She's awesome. She plays a lot of superhero. There's a lot of horror games. I'm gonna say like survival horror. Joe, who the fuck is Joe? I'm Joe. She's one of the few people that calls me Joe. But yeah, she plays a lot of spooky games. She's a big fan of Dead Rising, Silent Hill. Angel is the girl we went to saw Alien. Yeah, that's her. Yeah, that's her. She came with us to see Alien. There are people who call you Joe? Like 3. You gotta take a shake. Yeah, that's her. That's her. She was also over for my Resident Evil movie night. Remember that? When I saw Death Island. Joey has 2 names, and they're both 4 letters. Joey and chat. Joey and dude. LMAO. Yeah, Angel. Bloody was with us at Shake and Shack. And yeah, he saw Alien with us too, along with Cyber. He has a secret 5th name, but we don't say that one in public. You can say it. You have my permission. I give you the pass. Do it. Don't forget, best friend. Yeah, he's also my best friend. Oh, nice. Joey's secret name is Batman.
The Autobot soldier. I'm looking for the closest control room.
I think it's this way.
Hold on. And chat. Don't forget, best friend. Oh, nice. Oh, well, Joey's secret name is Batman. I know. Hard to believe, but it's true. My chat's not keeping up. Joey's secret name is Tripod. It's a secret, though.
Speed is of the essence.
Why Tripod? You know why. Batman usually uses white face as identity. Oh, have you guys seen the fucking Watchmen show? That's actually a bit. There's a character who, the Batman face shows, and it's white, but you find out he's a black dude who like uses makeup. I thought that was great. Tripod because he got a long stick in his butt. Very nice. Neutron assault. What am I using right now? Am I using the burst? I think I'm using the burst. Do I have enough to upgrade? I do have enough to upgrade. All right, so I want to purchase it. I just want to upgrade it. Upgrade this one. Mounted the reserve, ammo accuracy. Everything else is locked. I could do accuracy might be kind of cool. What's this one? Oh, reserve ammo and eliminates recoil. Oh shit! I don't have enough for that though. He's dropped by because he has a third appendage growing from his groin. Well, have a great night. Thank you, Angel. I hope you have a good one too. Enjoy your VR chat. We gotta shoot zombies again soon. I had so much fun with that fucking game. Where do I leave? This is like semi transform or controller compatible. I have to like switch back and forth between the mouse and keyboard sometimes. Eliminate recoil. What are you, some kind of limp wristed sissy? Maybe. You've seen these things. Look at these. Look at that. Look at that. Audio log.
4578. Leapers. There's a whole platoon of them activated. If you're listening to this, turn back and avoid engagement at all costs. These things are as savage and brutal a warriors I've ever seen. But if you must face them, always keep moving and try to engage them from behind. Their armored claws make a head-on attack a waste of energon.
Where do I go now? Hold on.
Fight in the name of freedom.
Where do I go? Oh. Ion vents. Oh shit! I wasn't ready.
Where are the artillery controls?
I want to play jazz. I don't want to play anymore. Fuck off, Optimus. You're boring.
Optimus, are you all right?
I think you can play Cliff Jumper in this game too. Which I appreciate.
In the back! Hit it in the... Ah! He's not stopping.
Oh, we killed all three of them. You should have started with me.
Thanks, Optimus.
The one that was attacking him.
Optimus, are you all right?
I'm fine, Perceptor, but
I'm fine, Perceptor.
another one.
Another one. Good job, Adi. Got him. Okay, yeet. It's a cute one. Spritzy? I have no idea what that one is. You only get the ones that are cute, huh?
See them, but how do I get there?
There might be an ion vent nearby.
Oh wait, that'll explode. What am I doing? Joey. I tried to melee it thinking something helpful would be in there.
Fine.
What does this one do? Oh shit. Pick it back up. I shoot. No, I started feeling bad, so I tried to catch the fucking ugly ones too. Nice.
Optimus, you must reach those artillery controls. I'm certain that the ion vent can help you.
Fuck the ugly ones. Should have been born pretty. Yeah, that's natural selection for you. This one. Yeah! I like that one. I want that one. You know, Rooster, you're right. Pokemon eat Pokemon World out there. You know, it literally is. What do you think, those other ones have fangs just to look pretty? No. Dude, have you guys seen... Hold on, this is actually... It's not important, but it is to... It is to me. Check this shit out. It reminds me of this. Hold on. There are YouTube channels, I think this is the one, where they do like fucking David Attenborough style Pokemon videos, like it's like National Geographic for Pokemon, and I fucking love this stuff. I was at work watching this and I was like, this is making my day.
It spends most of its life out of water.
This up a little bit. I love this stuff.
Walk on land
that actually made me LOL. You cannot tell me a Charmander wouldn't fucking taste fucking great over some Frank's Red Hot.
Different from most fish.
No, I love this stuff.
A fish out of water? Maybe. But they thrive here in Paldea.
We need more of these. This is awesome. This is brilliant to me.
But what makes life on land so worthwhile? The answer lies in the mud. Cool, moist, and away
Look at the
from
little mudkip over there.
predators, the mud is
Sounds like Winnie the Pooh. Well, he's trying to do the David Attenborough voice. Going from like, you know, all those National Geographic, the Animal Planet documentaries.
But life on
I'd eat
land
that. Some
is
soy
not
sauce, a little
without its
paprika. Oh,
It's hard
hold
work
on.
to find
You
a
guys want
mate.
to see something crazy? Yeah, I'm sure you guys have seen this. Hold on.
But before the clodside
Have you guys seen this? Dude talks about cooking Pokemon. Love that dude. It's depressing. The one I liked is because like his arms all tatted up like every fucking chef. No, there's supposed to be more to it than that. Here you go. This. God, it looks so good though. I'd eat it. How many more of these are there? I like the Chikorita one. It's all of them, isn't it? Oh shit! Yeah, here's Chikorita. This is fucked. This is how Pokemon COVID starts. Well, blame Pokemon China for that too. Not Pokemon COVID. Oh my god, just skins it. I'll get back to Transformers in a minute, but just this is what the discussion reminded me of. There was this, and then like I said, oh shit, hold on, let me go back. Yeah, these little no. The little documentaries. I like these. These are nice. These are chill. I think these are the better ones. Yeah. I think these are made entirely in Blender also. 10 out of 10 would try all of those dishes. Oh, I would too. Nice. Thanks, Bloody.
The area is home to species not commonly found in the surrounding region.
Fun fact, when I fainted after donating blood, that's the noise I heard.
Are a critical time for the life cycle of one particular Pokemon.
Yeah, I like this shit.
I take responsibility.
Magikarp.
Me too.
I take responsibility for racism.
A large number of them are gathering for the toughest challenge of their lives.
I don't know, I love this shit.
Ocean migration, Magikarp prepare themselves to move
I would actually watch. Honestly, I think Nintendo or Game Freak or whoever's in charge should definitely fucking capitalize on this. Like, can you imagine like a Netflix series, like Walking with Pokemon or something?
High up in the mountains.
You know what I mean? They should do it. It'll be canon. They could just do like a little.
Chance to reach their
I take responsibility for eating raw Magikarp sashimi, dude. I would fucking fuck up a Magikarp.
But this is going to be the end of the road for a lot of Magikarp.
This is so cute. Yeah, I would love like
from across the region.
Like if Netflix produced it or something, like a full-on Pokemon documentary like this, I would
make their move.
I would watch every episode. I would go to a town on a Goldeen, bro.
The fish take on their journey, the weaker they become.
Go to town on a Goldeen.
While the falls.
What other fish Pokemon are there? There's the little butt plug Pokemon. What's it called? Here, hold on. Fish Pokemon.
Despite their reputation as the world's most pathetic Pokemon,
there's one that looks like a butt plug to me.
An incredible ability to leap up to 7 feet in the air.
I'll find it. I'll find it. I'll find it.
Conventional battles. It's the perfect skill for their journey.
Oh, where is it?
The fish perform short leaps into the air to see where the bears are.
It is. I can't do this the entire time. I'll go back to Transformers in a second, but there was one because like Dontre and I were hanging out and we were doing the Pokemon trading card game. And I opened it up one. And I was like, dude, that one looks like a fucking butt plug. Cause it do.
But they don't always get it right.
Yeah, see, Pokemon need Pokemon.
Despite consisting mostly of scales and bones,
Psyduck is one of my least favorite Pokemon. Psyduck's one of my favorite Pokemon. I fucking love Psyduck. Psyduck is my favorite Pokemon. What's your favorite, Rooster? Yeah, what's your favorite Pokemon, dude?
To look out for. Once airborne,
I can't find it. Oh, here it is.
Prey for any birds that happen to pass by.
Bruxish. Look, he's got like a little. Here, look at this. He's got like a little clit tickler on him. Look at that. Look at that. Oh, you guys can't. Here, let me see if I can. What is that? Yeah, let's go back to shooting shit. Sorry for that little hiatus. It's just what we were talking about really reminded me of the documentary. Kabutops and Scyther, followed by Aerodactyl. Yeah, I'd eat that. Those are solid choices. I like Squirtle a lot. I do like Psyduck quite a bit. Hey, what's this one? Scatter Blaster? That's just a shotgun, isn't it? Yeah, I want some range and accuracy. The original three, Charmander, always Charmander. Yeah, I like Charmander too, as a boy. But men pick Bulbasaur.
Where do you think you're going, Prime?
Oh shit, there's two of them. Optimus!
Gonna take you apart. Piece by piece.
No, don't transform, don't transform. Get over here. A little closer. Oh, I got him! Nice, I got him! Didn't play Pokemon at all. Hey, what up, Jay? Came right back at the right moment. T2 is good. Wait, what? No, real man tell Professor Oak to fuck himself and take Gary's Pokemon. T2 is good. Talking about Pokemon cards now? Wait, what do you mean T2? Terminator 2? I'm confused. Shotty, I'll have to show you all the cards in the pack that Tofu sent me at the break. Oh yeah, do that. Of the original three, who do you choose? I choose Squirtle. How you doing, Jay? I like Squirtle. Hell yeah, Bloody.
I found the controls.
The real one.
You should be able to reroute Energon from the Ark directly into the long-range artillery.
Nice wet turtle. Jay Conquers, yeah. Oh, is this from when fucking we had like 15 minutes of the pooping cat? Would you eat a Pokemon? Oh, I would eat the fuck out of a Pokemon. I used Bulbasaur when I was a child. Oh my fucking god. Bulbasaur's a solid choice. Bulbasaur's based. What game is this? I can't tell. What game is that, Jay? This redeem haunts me. I love it. Oh, it's Spyro. Oh, I forgot you were playing Spyro, dude. It should be banished to the Shadow Realm. I'm surprised he still has it, to be honest. You should make it for like bits or something so you at least get money when we spam it. Spyro was a good time. Are you gonna play 2 and 3? I think 2 is the best. I really like 3. Never mind. I think Year of the Dragon is my favorite one.
It appears to be working.
Okay, have you finished Hollow Knight? Yeah, I'll play them. Sweet. Oh, wait, this is back to being loud. I'm sorry, guys. I'll turn it down. There you go. He doesn't finish games. He finishes them sometimes.
System is online. The code looks pretty rusty, so I'm going to link the artillery controls directly to your targeting computer.
I'll find some
No, I would have to wait. Twitch all night? No, I would have to, but I had to cancel my last streams because network issues. Yeah, dude, I was wondering where you were. Yeah, I noticed you didn't stream like the rest of the week. See? Boom! No, he'll finish it. He conquers games unless they annoy him. Network issues. That's what they all say. No, I was gonna play Max Payne, but I figured, oh, targeting mode. I didn't realize that, one, I didn't know that Rooster was a Transformers fan. So, the stream is dedicated to Rooster. All hail Rooster Fiend. Ah! I got it, cool. Hold on, let's see. Network issues. No, I don't finish games either. I still need to finish Alan Woke 2. Don't call it that. Oh, damn. Quit playing games with my heart, Frank. Technically, I did beat Hollow Knight. I got the end credits, but went back for a true ending. What's the true ending entail? Do you have to beat like optional bosses or something? Oh, I finished some games more, but they really have to hook me a while. I don't know what the fuck that is, but I want it. Bow down before the might of my autism. Ah, nice, Jay. I think so. Ultra Ball. Hell yeah. And then you're gonna play Kingdom Hearts, Jay? Then you'll play Kingdom Hearts? Oh, I thought I could double jump. Two endings with a Hitler shaking your hand. I don't know what's next. Honestly, I'm down for whatever. I feel like for the most part, you pick games I like. Or would like, but probably won't play. Like the original Shin Megami Tenseis. Like those are on my list, but like, I feel like I gotta like... I need to figure out my like life before I do like RPGs like that. You know what I mean? I've been too busy lately. I really want to play Shin Megami Tensei 3 to be honest. Oh, dude, that's Nocturne, right? Do Nocturne. Do Nocturne. I beat that on PS2, dog. That game's fun. That was my first Shin Megami Tensei game. And I didn't even realize this was like one of the hardest games ever made. It's not that fucking hard, dude. Just grind. It's not that fucking hard. And you see me play games, I suck. What the fuck is a Darumaka? Dude, I have no clue, but it sounded cool, so I got it. Yeah, well, also, I think I read somewhere, you might want to double check and or fact check me. I think they made the remaster easier. I've never heard of this. Sorry, Shoddy. Fuck. Don't worry about it. It's fine. No, it's okay. Purchase. I want to purchase it. I want to upgrade this one. Amplifier pack. Increase the amount of reserve ammo. I did that one. I'll do the recoil. Then fuck. All right. Then back. Don't apologize. We talked about this, Audie. The Pokemon world out there. Take my sorry back. Wow. You're unapologizing. No, that's what I did with Trevor once. Because I went to go see Bad Boys for Life without him. And he found out and he was like mad. And I kept apologizing, but he kept rubbing it in. I was like, you know what? I'm not sorry anymore. I gotta apologize so much. I don't give a shit anymore. It expired. They added an easy mode to the remaster. Okay. But is the other one at least faithful? Is it the same? The Rumaka is the thing. No, the Dahaka! The Dahaka is from Prince of Persia, right? Dude, I remember that. I'm getting flashbacks. Dude, Jay, you should stream those. The Sands of Time trilogy. I haven't seen the new one. Is it good? I heard it was great as far as Bad Boys movies go. I actually liked the last one that came out, but I didn't see the last one that came out. I saw For Life. I didn't see Ride or Die yet. After we saw a Will Smith concert, I wanted to watch it, but I didn't have time, so I was like, let me just throw it on Wild Wild West and call it a night. Oh, that'd be sick. Oh, I know his name. I was just playing. Prince of Persia is amazing. Sands of Time games are on my list. They're on my list too, actually. I played them as they came out, and I thought they were fantastic, dude. They were awesome. And then like they went like overly like Scorpion King and edgy all of a sudden. Like it starts off as like Aladdin, right? And then Warrior Within comes out and he's like, you bitch! And this chick with like a fucking metal bikini comes out. It's like gore and blood. It's fucking awesome. And then 3 came out, which is the Two Thrones. And it was like a weird mishmash. Still rated M, but I don't know. I liked the... Oh yeah, and even Warrior Within even had fucking Godsmack. They had the Scorpion King song in it. Ah! Stand alone! Fuck yeah, man. Dude. Add that to your fucking list, or your poll, and I'll vote for Prince of Persia. Gather Blaster. We're inside. Scatter Blaster might be nice. Oh shit, Starscream. If Prince of Persia were so awesome, it would still be called Persia. Jesus Christ.
Optimus, it's an ambush. Don't expect any mercy. I wasn't offering any.
Oops. Oh, Joey, come back. Oh, I think no, I'm back. No, so I was saying, isn't modern day Persia is Iraq, isn't it? Am I right? Can somebody check that for me? But that joke made me laugh. I didn't realize I was muted. Yep. Okay. Prince of Iraq. Nice. I think it's Iran. Okay. He said Iran. No, I said Iraq. With a Q. But thanks, Jay. Thank you for or whoever corrected me. Thank you. You guys are both red, so it's hard to differentiate at times. Oh yeah, no, thank you. I knew it was one of those. Iran. Iran.
What's going on?
I gotta get my ears checked. Everything sounds underwater. Oh, because your fucking sinuses are about to explode? I believe it. Receptor. But yeah, dude, Jay, add that to your poll. Dude, I would love to watch you play through those. Those are fun games. If you don't, I'll do it. Do it or I will. At least you said you wanted to stream Resident Evil as well also. What would your next Resident Evil be? Like, you'd be on 2 right now, wouldn't you? No, you did 2. Your next one would be 3, if I'm not mistaken.
Decepticon troops have overrun the area. Roger that.
Teletrans store online.
I did 1 and 2, so you'd be 3 next. Or Survivor. Just kidding. It would be 3. Ah! Stand alone! What gun am I using? Page. I think I'm still using the Scatter Blaster. Let's upgrade this motherfucker. I don't have enough. All right, never mind. Let's not. Joey, come shotgun a dab into my mouth so I don't have to cough so hard. I'll do that. Tell you what. I'll take a big ass rip and I'll butt chug it into you. I'll go. Okay. And it'll go straight into your bloodstream. That's how it works. I did 1 and 2. When I go back, I'm starting over and doing 1 and 2 again. LOL. They are short. Yeah, dude, they're short. Honestly, do it. I want you to stream Resident Evil. Joey, did you just sing Godsmack? I did. Was I muted when I was talking about Prince of Persia? Fuck. I was talking about Prince of Persia and Warrior Within, and then how they had the Godsmack song. Hey, how long was I muted?
Megatron, we have established a perimeter around the neutron gun controls.
Godsmack is Amazing Life. Oh, I forgot you did watch that. God, I got to go watch Scorpion King now. Dude, I remember when Jason X came out, and I was so stoked for Scorpion King, and then we got to see Scorpion King right after. That was like my first double feature, and it was fucking awesome. Godsmack and Creed. The Kings of Divorce Dad Rock. Can you take me higher? But yeah, I remember seeing Jason X and Scorpion King back to back.
Yes, Lord Megatron.
I want this counter blaster. What do I got? Oh, this thing. Oh shit.
Destroy him. Not today. What a waste of energy.
What are you without me, Prime? Time to find out. And he puts his little ninja mask on and he just fucking rips his face off. Let's go there. Let's go to this place. Come on, let's go there. Let's ask, can we stare?
Artillery strike.
Fuck! Fuck off! God damn it. Their wives divorced them because they keep listening to Godsmack. God damn it, Jay. Maybe 6 feet ain't so far. Oh! This is good. I like this joke. Make more like this. Yeah. You don't like voodoo? You weren't there for that?
Megatron, we have established a perimeter around the neutron gun.
Okay, there's ammo. Fuck! I forgot to get the ranged weapon over there. I'm gonna be lurking, listening for a little bit. I hope everyone's having a good night. Have a good night, Audie. Yeah, thank you for the lurk. I appreciate you. Thank you for the lurk.
How about calling in an artillery strike?
Oh, where? Oh, I know where. So yeah, after we saw Will Smith, I kept making Will Smith noises. Aha! You know that one, and then I would go, ah! You know that noise he makes where he's like, yo! I can't explain it, but he just makes noises. I need like a Will Smith soundboard.
Yes, Lord Megatron, but without those
With the style all in it. Get jiggy with it. I'll put back in for Pokemon. Yeah, you will. Audie always lurking and jerking. I knew it. Audie, no. LJK, good night. You guys, you know what I just realized Joey's actually doing okay at a shooter. Am I really? Oh, never mind. So just fuck you. And the best Will Smith noise is slap. Yeah. No, the best Will Smith noise is keep my wife's name out your fucking mouth. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Dude, he hit that fucking, like, you ever listen to like a kid throw a tantrum? That's what he sounded like. Like, the toy is mine. You know, like, that's what he sounded like to me. I was like, oh god, Agent K, what are you doing, dude?
he should never have challenged us. Do what you will. We'd be in trouble.
Just the two of us. We can make it if we try. Just the two of us. You and I. When did this slap happen? I feel like forever ago. It was like the Oscars like 2.5 years ago. 3 years ago? I forget. So he's got 7 years left before he can go back. Because they banned him for the next decade. Fucking idiot. I'm not gonna lie, it was a bitch move, but I mean, you think I'm not gonna watch Men in Black? You think I'm not gonna enjoy the cinematic masterpiece that is Wild Wild West? You think I'm not gonna sing Miami? You're fucking wrong, okay? You died immediately after I typed that. Here, I'll do good again. I promise. Never forget. 2 things in this world. Well, I'll make awful jokes about 9/11 and Will Smith gate. He's lucky they weren't criminal charges. No, he's lucky. He's very lucky. I think I've heard everybody say, like, dude, if it was me, I would have pressed charges. Oh god, not Wild Wild West. Literally anything but that. Wild Wild West is a fucking banger. Okay, is it stupid? Yeah, but it's fun, okay? Where else are you gonna get a giant steampunk spider, a crazy ass villain with like half his body, and he's got spider legs? Okay. I'm up to date. That movie's fun. That is a fun movie. It's stupid. And here's the thing also, it came out when I was 7, so I do have like nostalgic ties to it. But I remember in art school, me and my roommates, like we connected over that movie. We all watched it and had just a fucking blast. I've seen this in so long. I think it's pretty good. I don't know. I saw it like yesterday. Out of ammo. Not this one. Time to find out. Bumblebee. Oh, get the lube. The lube.
How about calling in an artillery strike?
What is it again? What's the button? There we go. You don't have to be nostalgic for every bad movie that was released when you were a kid. Not all of them. But that's definitely one of them. That is that's a quintessential Will Smith movie. Also, you don't have to hate everything. Fuck. I can believe I'm saying this, but Jay's right on this one. As much as I have the same nostalgia, Wild West is just bad. Enjoyable, bad, yes, but still bad. Oh, I'm not saying, well, when I say banger, you know, take that with a grain of salt. It's a bad movie, but I enjoy it. It is enjoyably bad. It is a cheesy, good time. It's not meant to be taken seriously. Kevin Kline and Will Smith both make good movies. Wild West, not one of them. Oh fuck! I did it again. No, I need the I need my little burst rifle. Fuck! It's up there now. All right, wish me luck, guys. Oh, there's one. Right, what is this? Oh shit. Is it streaming on anything? I saw it on what's that website? It wasn't a streaming service per se. It was like Daily Motion. Wild West is amazing. Thank you. Thank you, Bloody. Someone who appreciates cheesy movies. There are a few good scenes. This is not how you transport nitro. Oh yeah, that's a good one. Still makes me chuckle, and the racist cripple jokes that they make at the presentation are actually hysterical. Oh yeah, when he's like, oh yeah, well, the man of your stature. That one, right? Fuck, I'm gonna die. It's like Black Hawk Down, not Black Hawk Down. Fuck. Cannon? Is it a bird cannon Pokemon? Anyway, I got it this time. I went too quick. I was too busy defending Wild Wild West. Let me pick up the weapon over here, and then I'll go. The opening scene, man. The opening scene is atrocious. Wait, with the water tower? What do they call it? Atrocious. That's harsh.
Without those defenses, destroy him. Not today.
Haven't you seen? I haven't seen Coon's Age. Yeah, exactly. Oh yeah. There's a lot to enjoy in that movie. I'm not gonna sit here and say like, oh yeah, it's top of the line cinema. I mean, I'm being facetious, of course, but it's enjoyable for sure. It's a fun movie. It is fun. Not me missing the Pokemon. It's okay, I missed it too. Fuck. I need my armor. Oh, artillery strike. They're telling me what to do. See, for somebody who says the movie's bad, you seem to know an awful lot of quotes. Didn't they make that? Wait, they didn't make that movie to win awards. They made it for fun. Yeah, exactly. That's my point. It's like not every movie, and I get it. You know, you can be critical. There can be objective facts about a movie, but not every movie is intended to be like Oscar bait. Or the director blowing themselves. Sometimes a movie's just made to have some fucking fun, and that's okay. Yeah, and you see Salma Hayek's butt in there. that's at least a point right there. If it was a D, it's a C now. Okay. Yeah, fun and money. Yeah, did that movie make money? That had to be successful, right? There's no way that movie bombed. I think the only... Oh, fuck. God damn it. God, I'm stuck. Step bro.
I'm reading more Decepticons on the other
What the
walkways.
fuck am I doing wrong? Hold on. They made it for money. Every movie's made for money. I think it actually did flop. Did it really? Can you check?
Megatron, we have established a perimeter around the neutron gun controls. Defended at all costs.
It made 220 million. What was the budget though?
Megatron, but without those defenses. Destroy him.
Oh, wrong button. Not today. He said the line. He said the thing. He said the thing. Say the line, Optimus. It didn't flop. No, that's Frank. I was wrong. Thanks, Frank. There's no way it had a budget of more than 150 mil. Dude, for fucking 97? That's like 97, right? Dude, 150 for 97? That's insane. But I believe it. They were like, yo, he's making a song for us too. Remember when Will Smith used to make a fucking song for every goddamn movie he was in? Those were the days. Where's the grenade? Okay, I think they're gonna keep spawning until I blow that thing up over there too. That's what I'm thinking right now. I still hear the Men in Black song in the back of my head. I do too. Oh, there was the one for Men in Black 2, Nod Your Head. I like that one. Oh, he said he's gonna show me how to aim. That actually stung a little bit. Man, I'm not missing, I'm just getting overwhelmed. Can I shoot through this? Is this one of those cool games? Yeah! I forgot about Nod Your Head with the worm guys. Yeah, they're in there. Get the fuck out of here. Oh, wait. Can you believe it got bad reviews? Fucking asshole critics. Don't they know it was made to be fun? It doesn't need to be good. I knew that would get your blood boiling. What the fuck? It's saying 400 mil. I'm gonna investigate more. Wait, 400 mil for the box office? Feel like you're unlocking memories. Unless it was all spent inflating Will Smith's ego. I think Will Smith did all that. It costs 170 mil to make, made 222 mil, so I guess it was constructed. Yeah, that's a flop. I think for a movie to be considered successful, I think they typically double the budget. Because you have to factor in like marketing and all that kind of bullshit, and then their fucking Burger King Happy Meal tie-ins and stuff. Okay. Yeah, it sounds more accurate. Yeah, I think that does count as a flop. But it's okay. It's a success in my heart. What is this? Oh, nice! I got health regen. Dude, I didn't know this was a thing. Still the budget at the very least is how you make sort of profit on film. There's still things like, hold on, wait. This is how you make a sort of profit in film. There are still things being paid for well after the film in theaters. The film cost isn't necessarily what it was spent to get it into theaters. This is true. Even without marketing being added on, they only get about 50 to 60% of the money from tickets sold. So yeah, that's a huge flop. Yeah, that's a flop. Tens of millions at least. Ah! What's up with the grenades, bitch? What's up? Oh, shit! Oh! Not like this. Hold on, I can do it, I can do it! Fuck! I don't wanna. God, behind me too? Where? Hold on, this is annoying now. No! Fuck! God damn it. Alright, this is the one. I have a very strong feeling about this, alright guys?
Megatron, we have established a perimeter around the neutron gun controls. Defend it at all costs! Yes, Lord Megatron! It's Optimus Prime! Destroy him! Not today.
Oh shit, man, these fuckers got fucking arms. Thank you for the redeem. I like that one a lot. Hola. Hey, what up, Project? How you doing? How's your night going? Are you a Transformers fan? Who's your favorite Transformer? I'm gonna wait for my armor to heal up a little bit. Thank you for that redeem too. That's also a fun one. What is this? And yes, yeah, this is Transformers Fall of Cybertron. This is a sequel to War for Cybertron. It serves as like a prequel to the G1 cartoon. Loose prequel. I think it's like a big mishmash of like the Transformers, like the Bay movies aesthetic with G1 designs. And it's just a cool little cover-based third-person shooter. I like it a lot. This is a fun game. I beat the first one a few weeks ago, and I'm playing the second one now. I was playing Max Payne 3. I wanted to go back to it, but I found out that one of my friends is a Transformers fan. So I was like, oh, let me stream this for them. I like Ironside. Ironside's good. Ironhide. Ironhide's good. When I say Ironside, when I hear Ironside, I think of Michael Ironside, who also may or may not be a robot.
He should never have challenged us.
Oh shit, where's the ammo? Is there more ammo down there? Hold on. Yeah! There we go. Sick. I just like the movies. Most of them. For the most part.
I'm reading more Decepticons on the upper walkways.
Thunderwing was dope in the comics. I never read many of the comics. I wanted to get into the IDW ones, but I haven't. I read some of like the crossovers, like G.I. Joe versus Transformers. That's a fucking good one. There's also oh, there's like a Terminator versus Transformers that I wanted to check out. Did I get them? Yeah. Woo. Who was Ironside's voice actor? Was it the guy who did Wacko in Animaniacs? No, that would be I know his name because he also did Carl Weezer. I like Jimmy's mom. You know that guy? That's the guy that voiced Wacko. Right? What's his name? He also did Pinky. Jess Hurnell. Wait, who the fuck is Jess Hurnell? Am I confusing him with somebody else? I'm thinking about Rob Yakko voice actor. I'm thinking about Rob Paulson, who's the Wacko voice actor. Jess Harnell? Who the fuck is this guy? He did he do Ironhide in the movies or in the cartoon? I just looked it up. It's just Harnell, not Hurnell. Okay, yeah. He also did Casper's Arnold Schwarzenegger impression. Wacko Werner, Fatso, and Casper. Huh. Little Nicky, he did Gary the Monster. He has a lot of Scooby-Doo voices. Oh wow. That should have been Frank Welker? Is that Frank Oz? One of those motherfuckers does a bunch of like monster sounds. Nice. Oh yeah. Hell yeah. Yeah, I didn't know that. Oh, Duck Dodgers. I watched that cartoon. Sick. His name is Michael Ironside. Dude, I love Michael Ironside. As an actor, that dude rocks. Starship Troopers. I expect any of you to do the same for me. Everybody does your job. Nobody quits. No. Everybody fights. Nobody quits. You don't do your job, I'll shoot you myself. Yeah, the Bay movies, not the cartoon. Yeah, I figured. Oh, Yanma. Shit. Audie, get over here. Yanma. It's a good one. It's not cute, but it's good. Also, I'm gonna get one more beer, okay? One more beer. I'll be right back, guys. Black Ironside's a great actor, severely underrated. I think he's great. He's awesome. Let's watch Scanners right now. Can't drink beer anymore? Is it for health reasons? If you don't mind me asking. If it's personal, I get it too. How's your night going, Project? Shit.
How about calling in an artillery strike?
Yeah, working on it. Hold on, I need help. Doctor said liver can't handle it anymore. Add. Oh, doctor's just jealous. Yanma escaped. Fuck you. Don't even drink. Drink even more. No, that's unfortunate. But yeah, your health comes first, man. Didn't you drink? Yeah, what's your drink of choice? You strike me as like a whiskey guy. It's like my wiener. Get a second opinion. No, it's listen to your doctor, guy. But yeah, Jay, you're a whiskey guy, aren't you? Whiskey or rum? Nice. You have a favorite? There's like this Japanese whiskey that my buddy Vinny got me on. It was really good. I've canceled like 8 streams because I got invited for whiskey and cigars. Whiskey J is what they call him. Whiskey says whiskey with an H. I'm not really picky. Mid-shelf stuff. Nice. Like, I need a bit more than Jack. Like, I'll do it if it's like Jack and Coke, but if I'm drinking straight, like, I need a little more substance. Up your stupid head out. Nod your head! Oh my god, what am I supposed to be doing here? Gimme. Fuck yeah. Need ammo. And then I need to fucking get these guys on my fucking face. Do I have grenades? Oh, I have this.
Optimus, a Decepticon dropship is inbound.
It's fine. Put it away. Put it away, Joey. Ah! This is the first I've gotten so far. I'm scared.
Optimus.
Okay. All right. My god. Oh my god. Whiskey J is what they call him. Not really picky. Mid-shelf. Okay. Same. Bro, we went straight to the same joke. LMFAO. Nice.
Artillery strike on that dropship.
Whiskey J. I call him little bitch J. question. Answer. What's up? I swear to God, if you offer fucking design, you have to choose one. Okay, I gotcha. We call him hates everything but mid-shelf whiskey J. Nice. I have to choose one. Is it a whiskey or beer? Life and death? Hole number 1 or hole number 2?
The scientific term for that is pulverized.
Oh my God, my other weapon was better. Joe's the kind of guy to let people borrow his chapstick. Wait. Where the fuck did that come from? Either. Hold on, Project. I'm sorry. Joey also lets people borrow his toothbrush. I would let people use my chapstick if I trust them. I would let nobody use my toothbrush. Either watch your parents in bed for the rest of your life or join in once. Oh my God, Project. The rest of my life or join in once? Well, one of my parents is dead, so does that exempt me? And underwear? That's funny. Oh man, I don't want to answer that. Hats. There's no way I'm joining, but I don't want to watch that shit either. Can I kill myself? Is that the third option here? The secret menu? Negative. I pick both. Join in once, get absolutely wasted beforehand so I don't remember. Easy. Next question. Incest is best. I would have Budster? I'm gonna call you Buster, okay? Budster. That's funny. You guys are a trip. Rooster over here got cheat codes though. He gonna bust. Did I get him? I think I got him. Holy shit. If they're unconscious, though, they would never know. Yeah, but I'll know.
Neutron gun controls Perceptor. Just a few Decepticons in the way. Perceptor, I found the neutron gun controls.
I don't know, man. Neither. I choose jumping off a cliff.
The neutron gun is activating.
What is happening? Scroll up and look what Project asked me. It's a toughie, no cliffs nearby. Dude, I'll bash my brain into the floor. Neither. I'm sorry. I know this is a fun question, but there is no answer for me. It's neither. I like Rooster's answer. That's a funny one, but I can't. It is a toughie. This is worse than that first episode of Black Mirror with the pig. Joey has too strong of a moral compass. Yeah, I choose suicide. I don't want to. The thought of that is giving me the ick, as the kids say, right? Am I using that term right? Probably not. You gotta promote graphic design. Jesus fucking Christ. Yeah, honestly, I'd rather you. I was joking about it. I was like, because you're like, question. And I was like, ask her. I got one. Go and ask it, dude. And I was like, oh god, if it's fucking operating graphic design, I'll flip a fit. And then you ask me this. I'd rather you ask me for graphic design. How much to do Mickey Mouse ears with the fro? I don't have Mickey Mouse ears. The cost of the Mickey Mouse ears, I'll do it. He was spontaneously combust if he was faced with the trolley problem. What's the trolley problem? Oh! There's a train speeding. Do you go hit the one old person or like the old kids, right? Or the young kids, something like that, right? Is that the trolley problem? You have a split track? Yeah. I would hit the old person. You know why? Because they're old. I'm putting them out of their misery. I bet he promoted graphic design. Yeah, exactly. How much to do? Hold on. Yeah, how much to do Mickey Mouse ears with the fro? I don't know. If I had some, I'd just put them on just because you asked. Yeah, the cost of that, I don't know. If you want to donate the cost of those, I'll order them tonight and I'll wear them for you. Only one way hits several people. The other track hits the same amount of people of nondescript people. Wait. One way hits several people. The other track also hits the same amount of nondescript people. You only have enough time to sway between one track or the other. We can wait. Wait, can we promote graphic designs here? I'd rather you didn't. Also, I'm a graphic designer myself. I don't need the help. And no, don't you dare. Yeah, this isn't really no, he's fucking around. Okay. I couldn't tell. I don't know, man. Some people, cause like, dude, it was actually pretty hilarious. I was in my buddy Lemon Wedges. I was in his stream, and somebody was like, he was casually talking. It was great, and he's like, "Hey, can I ask you a question?" And I'm his mod, right? So I was like, "Yeah, you can ask whatever you want, as long as it's not promoting graphic design." He didn't say anything. He just left the stream. So I was like, "Oh, got one." That made me laugh. Am I taking damage? That's my favorite bannable event. Yeah, we're just so you know, most of us are artists and we make our own stuff. So while it's appreciated, we do not need any graphic design services. If you are genuine and not a bot, you're more than welcome to join my Discord and you can promote your stuff there. No, it's not appreciated.
I've got your range. Optimus, I don't have the firepower to stop those tanks. And you're lucky I do.
Get the fuck. No, be nice, be nice. He hasn't spammed yet, okay? He just asked a hypothetical. I'm still tripping on that fucking thing that Rooster said. Joey's the kind of person to let you borrow his chapstick. That actually got me. Because I have let people use my chapstick. Guys, I found out how to make Joey a better shot. He just needs a better gun, a bigger gun. My bio says it. If they try to sell me shit, shows me they didn't do their research. I think I'm okay at this game, Rooster. I think I just got a little overwhelmed at that part, and I wasn't doing the calling in a strike stuff, you know? Excuse me. Rooster, so you said you want to play Rainbow Six Vegas with us? That one just came to me. You pulled out chapstick, and I was like, Joey's weird, and I said have to let people borrow his chapstick. Yeah, I'm pretty weird. And I am nice. It was just so random, and it was just perfect timing because I did pull out my chapstick. It just cracked me up. Bravo, Rooster. Bravo. Yeah, let's run Vegas. Do you have it yet? One of my all-time favorite games. Dude, I haven't played it since it came out on 360. And I have one. I might have two. I remember Dry and I bought 1 and 2 for Rooster. Not your Rooster, for Cyber. So it would be me, you, Cyber, and Dry if he wants. If not, I think Lemon might have it, but I would love to play with you, dude. We haven't played anything since carrying you in Helldivers. Bought them immediately after we talked on disc because they were on sale for like $5 total. Negro, let's play right now. Yeah, we gotta get Vaughn in there. Whoa. Wait, what are you bombing? Is it because I called you Negro? I thought white people love that stuff.
Optimus, my readings just spiked. What happened?
What did he say? If it helps, I'm black. I know I don't sound like it, but I assure you. Carry is a strong word. Oh! Choosing to be nerfed by using that bolt action. Dude, fuck that bolt action rifle. If I had used anything other than that, I wouldn't make it. Oh wow, that struck a nerve, didn't it? What did he say? Are you doing that meme? Yeah, dude, that bolt action rifle, it's a meme gun. Don't you ever pick that shit again. I got Kappa this wipe. I don't know what that means. I got Kappa this wipe. I'm not hip. What does that say? Tarkov? Oh, I don't play Tarkov, but Rooster does, right? He knows that. He's a Rooster. He knows it. I was 2 quests from Kappa in PvE, and then they changed it to only PvP. Oh, is Kappa that DLC that everyone got pissed off about? Changed to PvP, so I haven't played it since. Is that what you guys are talking about?
I ask you. No, I order you. Help us.
What do you mean changed it? Yeah, I don't know what you guys are talking about. A Zatu? I'm gonna do it. Do you guys know Rooster? Are you guys Rooster friends? Oh, grab. It's technically beating the game. Okay. Wait, grab the fucking lever, Optimus. Then pull back. No. Oh my god. Press X to grab the lever and pull. Oh my god. I've done nothing differently. Nope. I know of him. Okay. Yeah, he's a cool dude. Yeah, if you guys aren't following Rooster, you guys should. Don't let him lie to you. Yeah, I know Caleb and Jamie. Oh, okay. Nice. Are they Tarkov friends? My name is Quadarius. Dequarius. Dude, that reminds me of the college fucking drafts in Key and Peele. My name's Daquavius Levante, or I forgot just the craziest names. Checking the shot, Rooster? Fucking hype. Metroplex, Alabama State. What did they change for you to not get Kappa? Zatu is my copy audience shattered. Yes! But they made a ref quest required in Kappa. Ref wasn't PvE yet because it linked to Arena.
You've got to hurry, Optimus. The Ark's about to come apart.
Then let's roll out.
Donquavius. There's no ref quest required for PvP or PvE. What the fuck is a ref quest? Chapter 3. Metroplex heeds the call.
Cannons shelling the Ark. I'm uploading the coordinates to
Oh shit. Oh, the idiot just burned himself alive. Nice. Good job, guy. You killed yourself for me. You Autobot? Oh, you're an Autobot. My bad. Little Bird Freak Zatu. It was when I stopped playing. This game is kind of hyped, man. Like I love Transformers. This is awesome. Joe, have you died in the past 5 minutes? Can I say I'm proud of you yet? First of all, I don't think I have. Second of all, fuck you. You can be proud of me anyway. Bitch. You know what? I'm gonna carry you in Helldivers again. Choice words. Hold on, Rooster, you're gonna jinx it again. Shh, that's my secret, Audie. Yeah, I'm gonna die right now. Fuck! No! Fuck you. Don't look at me. Nobody was carrying anybody. I was, man. I was like, this ain't your first time playing, is it? You were that bad. Oh, am I going this way? I'm going this way. Okay. Right? Am I not going this way? Ah. Alright, you can look at me again. I'm sorry. Sir Pastor. Yeah, Sir Pastor. What's your Tarkov name? Oh, yeah.
The bridge ahead is out. Allow me to assist you, Optimus Prime.
Oh shit! That fucking... Those are beefy. Excuse me.
Optimus! Over here! That warp cannon's too tough, Optimus! We can't make a dent in it!
Then put a fucking dent in it.
To your targeting computer's Metroplex. If we resync, I can designate targets for you.
Target synchronizing initiated.
Nobody's carrying anybody. You're telling yourself that, Scott. JK, I just want to hurt you. You cut me deep. I still fucking calling strikes? No? Okay. Fuck! Okay, alright. Alright. Audie, tell Joey to be nice to me. He started it. He started it.
Everybody get down! Incoming Decepticon!
That's how you make an entrance.
Well. Turntables. Shut your fucking mouth. Oh boy. Oh boy. There he is. Alright. It's up deep time! Let me get behind him. Can I dash? Oh boy. I can't kiss. Wait. Did you text to speech that? Now, Keith boys, I can't kiss Joey. We'd fall in love too fast. I'm not ready for that. Yeah, I'd break his heart. I'd be that bitch he ends up hating, you know?
Optimus! Grab the rocket launcher!
Hold on! I'm killing motherfuckers here. Still alive? Paul, are we kissing Joey? Yeah, get in line, buddy. How you doing? How you doing, Paul? Or Girth Brooks? Fucking love that. How you doing, man?
Target synchronizing.
All right, let me catch up a little bit. Paul, sup, dude? I only watch interracial porn.
50%.
Good stuff, man. Proud of you. That's good. Good for you. I have a more of a refined palate. I mixed up, but that's good too. Good too. Oh shit, that hit hard. No, 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 no! Shit, I'm out of ammo. Wait, really? There's more? Hold on, there's Energon! There's Energon! Hold on, wait. Yeah, I should. I was playing. Wait, hold on, what? So, dude, okay, about to head to bed. It's a school night. It is a school night. Shouldn't you be in bed? There it is. There it is. Don't talk to him like that. Yeah, I should. I was playing the game. Him. Paul, you can't take that from him. You guys are funny. Thanks, Autobot number 18. You're a scholar and a gentleman. Fuck, you turned around too fast. Distract him! Distract him! Use your red shirt powers and die. Okay, I got him. sick. Let me reload. Jay, you missed it. I was playing Donkey Kong Country on stream the other day. I thought you'd be proud of me. Okay, press RB to enter targeting mode, and that's really? Oh, it's just an airstrike. Which one? The first one? Yeah. I actually almost streamed that tonight, but I found out that Rooster was a Transformers fan, so I was like, oh, I'll play that. Yeah, first one. I have all three. Actually, you might appreciate this. I feel like this is something that have I shown you my have I shown you my game collection? I have. Here we got Donkey Kong Country 1. We got Super Mario World. Nerd out, Joey. I'm gonna do it. I have no choice. I'm a nerd. We got Donkey Kong Country 2, legit in my top 10 games of all time. I think a lot of people agree this is the best Mario game. This is my favorite Mario game. This is my favorite one. But I think people agree this is the best blow in the cartridge. Here, how's that sound for you? DKC 1/2. All right. DKC 3, which I've never actually finished this one. Oh god, I came. Did it sound good? Did it sound like it? Can you hear it? I got a Link to the Past, and this was a gift, but I have Bram Stoker's Dracula. I like being Donkey Kong. Diddy's a little twink. I like Diddy. Let's see, and then my N60. Do you want to see my N64 collection, Jay? I got them all on my lap. Do you want to see my N64 collection? Diddy going to jail? Nice. Free my boy Diddy. No, I'm just kidding. So remember I told you about my coworker Robert, that dude I play old games with? He gifted me a shitload of games, dude. So I bought a couple for myself. Here's my collection. I feel like you'd appreciate it. I feel like Jade likes this shit. Okay?
Scott, fuck you.
Scott, fuck you. And there's more in like this little briefcase, but I have Resident Evil 2. This is authentic. Oh, let me snooze this. And these are all authentic, by the way. Except my Conkers. My Conkers is a reproduction cart. But I got Resident Evil 2. Here, my boy Diddy. He's like a real knight. I was kidding, dude. I was kidding. I have Star Wars, Shadows of the Empire. I have Star Fox. That's Resident Evil 2 is great. Thank you. Thank you, Girth. I have Star Fox 64. I have a reproduction cart of Conker's Bad Fur Day. This is the only one that's not real. I have a Bug's Life. And I know you were saying, and I agree to an extent, Scott, but for a year, this was exclusive. I think at the moment, like I said, I didn't grow up playing N64, all right? So it is a blind spot that I'm exploring now. Currently, my favorite N64 game is Rayman 2. Sorry. I'm sorry. I didn't play Conkers, but I didn't play Conkers or Banjo, but I have them. I have Banjo right now. We're in Banjo 1. I don't know who Project is, but I 100% agree with him. I got Pokemon Snap. Hybrid Heaven. Quest 64. Rayman 2 is best for Dreamcast. Yeah, I have the Dreamcast one. You probably missed that stream too. I was streaming from my Dreamcast, the Rayman 2. That's my favorite version of it. I have GoldenEye. And I have Ocarina of Time. Hybrid Heaven is sick. Dude, I've been saying I want to stream more actual hardware, and I have the stuff to do it. So I was actually thinking about either... Funny enough, I'm just curious. I kind of want to stream Quest 64. But Hybrid Heaven is also pretty high on my list. You said you played through it? And then let me get... Because I have more. That's like half of it. I'm sure it'll be a great funeral. Music is charming for 10 minutes. Everything else is terrible. Quest 64 is one of the worst games ever made. I've heard that. But I haven't played for myself, so I can't judge, you know? Let me put these back and I'll shade it next round. All right. I have 1080 snowboarding. Total of 3 people will attend. Wait, oh, for my stream? That's fun. Wave Racer, which this game fucks. This game is great. Oh, wait, it'll be sure. Wait, hold on, what? How does one hook up a stream card to a SNES? Oh, yeah, I'll show you real quick. So there's actually several ways. I have what's called a RetroTink. This device right here is effectively a line doubler. It's a external video processor. This is the RetroTink. It costs not a small amount of money, and there's a new version that I want. There's the 2X. There's a 5X that I really want. So what this does is it de-interlaces footage or a video signal, and it does line doubling. So basically, already, I really do have to go to sleep. Have a good peace out, dude. Thanks for hanging out. Yeah, this one line doubles. It does anti-aliasing. If you want to go that route. So it basically smooths. I highly respect streaming real hardware. I personally choose to emulate even stuff I own because it's too easy. It's easy to upscale. Yeah, that's the thing, right? It's like, would people rather see the authenticity or the upscaled quality? Like I go back and forth. I've actually streamed. I have Sly Cooper. No, I did my PS3 version, but I have Maximo. But I actually chose to emulate that one just for presentation purposes. But I would like to do more hardware. But anyway, my point is it takes different video ins, right? It's got S video, it's got composite, it's got no component. The fuck you do? I want authentic because that's what I grew up. Yeah. There's this which I can use to capture. I also have an external cable.
Bomb has been defused.
This is compatible with the Super Nintendo and the N64, and what this does is it takes the RGB signal and upscales it. I want to say to 720. So for the N64 and the Super Nintendo, I'll probably use this just because it's authentic hardware. It's still an analog signal, but it's upscaled using the RGB or the SCART signal, some shit like that. Let me snooze that again. So yeah. I might be using this when I do stream these. And then, like I said before, my coworker Robert, he just gifted me a shitload of these when I hooked him up with a modded SNES Classic, and then I modded his Wii for him, and he was like, "Dude, I don't need these anymore." And he just gave them to me. So yeah, there's Mario Party 3, which I think I heard is like the black sheep. I haven't played it. Turok 2. This game is awesome. Have Pilot Wing 64. SNES, PS1, or PS2 have basically perfect emulation. Yeah, they do. Pilot Wing 64. 3 is my fave. Really? Nice. Come over. Mario Kart 64.
My sprinkler goes like this. And comes back
Donkey Kong 64, which I've never actually played. Mario Party 3. I know what you meant. I got Turok PC remasters. I'm going to stream the trilogy. Yeah, honestly, I think with the remasters, unless you're just showing off, like not showing off, but like, unless your point of your stream is it's actually hardware on N64, I think you might as well just stick with the remasters. Mario 64. I'm going to try it again. Maybe I should stream it, Jay. Maybe I should stream it and then commit to it. And then the reboot of Turok deserved better. It did. It was just in the Call of Duty era, but it wasn't bad. Maybe I should stream it and then I'll get the hang of it, Honestly, and I put this over Mario 64 is great. I just never got into it. I hate it less every time I try it. My first time was on DS. I hated it. My second time was on emulator. I hated it. Not the last time, but after that was because I have on Switch, I got the cartridge of Super Mario 3D All-Stars. I thought it was okay.
As a female streamer
and then I started playing on N64, and I was
just wanted to say thank you for being an inspiration to all of us.
Maybe.
My
So I'm thinking I should just stream it on
just kidding.
N64.
We all know it's a sausage fest in here.
Wait, as a female streamer. Oh, Budster, you're a streamer? I just want to say thank you for being an inspiration to all us, my friends and I. Haha, just kidding. I know it's a sausage fest in here. If you're a chick, hello. Yeah, we're all dudes, so you gotta tip the scale, But yeah, honestly, more than Mario Kart 64, Diddy Kong Racing, bitch. Yeah, Jamie's a bitch. And then I got Perfect Dark.
I hate when my cat wakes me up like this.
So I'll put these back and then I'll get back to the game. Sorry, guys. I figured, like I said, I know Jay is a big retro fan, so I just wanted to show off to him a little bit because I don't think I've actually done that on stream yet. I'll be right back.
Meow.
Oh, dog. I also have, I think I told you, I have it in television. Diddy Kong Racing over Mario Kart. Yeah, that's like one of the few things we do agree on, it seems. Diddy Kong Racing is the shit. But I also have it in television, and I have like a fucking, like a bin full of games. If you want to see that too, if you care. Yeah. I know you like retro. I don't know if that's too retro. In television, yeah. I can't pull it out. It's like, Joey, be less poor. First of all, that is not a cheap system to get now. Second of all, it was gifted to me. I've never seen it in a television IRL. I could have here. I'll be right back. Hold on. I'll get it for you, buddy. Just give me a minute. Give me a sec. Also, ignore my Ninja Turtle PJs.
Watch out for the helicopter rat.
Okay, so this is not a system I could just unplug. The cables in the back are hardwired in. Watch out for the helicopter. Nice. I don't even need to hear it. I know what it's doing. So I promise I'll show you the actual system one of these days. But I have some games right here.
King goes scraw.
There's more in my closet.
And a poop poop pound boom skia. Do cuckoo doom doom poom.
I do have one.
You done now?
It would just be a lot of work to unplug it right now. The thing goes. I forgot about that. Boom, boom, ting, ting. So of the games I have right now, and they're all complete in box, by the way. Bloody gave me this. Bloody and Mama Booey, they gave me this. They gave me this and my NES. And a shitload of games. So I have, and these are in good condition, dude. Tron Deadly Discs. Joey, you're scaring me. I'm sorry. I get excited. That's pretty cool. Yeah, this is like, if you would have told me this came out in the 70s, I wouldn't believe you. Like, this is great condition. Like, this dude must have just kept it like in an attic or something. Masters of the Universe, The Power of He-Man. Joe, I thought you were a good Christian boy who didn't listen to the Devil's Hippity. It's adorable. Yeah. I just get excited, you know. Night Stalker. I can stream it right now, probably, if you guys want. Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. And Space Hawk. These are the games I have out here right now. I have NES, SNES, PS1, PS2, Genesis, Dreamcast. I have now I won't count like those MIDI re-releases. I'll count actual like consoles. I have NES, SNES, N64, a Wii, Dreamcast, PS2, PS3, PS4 Pro, the Spider-Man one, PS5, Xbox 360, Xbox One, a Switch. And that's just like the TV consoles. I have a lot of handhelds too. I have a Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance SP, a DS Lite, a 3DS, the new 3DS XL, a PSP, a PS Vita, a couple of those like fucking LCD Tiger things. Am I missing anything? I don't think so. But yeah. My apartment's a museum. Yeah, if you guys want a television stream, I can do that one of these days. Adi was here for my Dreamcast stream. I was playing Rayman 2, the best version of it. I wholeheartedly agree with you, Jay, on that. But my first time playing through it was on N64, and it was a good time. That was a good time. As much as I despise optical media, I do miss the days of cartridges and discs. Yeah, you said you came when I blew into it a little bit. I love that one. That was a fun, because like I have like actual, like, he's a cool dude, man. Like he's like 79, and we were just bonding over old games, you know. Like he's fun to hang out with. And he introduced me to Rayman, and he said it's one of his favorite games, which is why I felt bad when he gave it to me. So I was like, I got him a Dreamcast, and then I burned him a copy of Rayman 2, so we can have the best version of it, you know, just so he can keep playing it. And then I hooked him up with an HDMI adapter. It was fun. It was fun.
Some beatbox.
But yeah, my point is
Sure
actual like ties to this game now. Like it feels good. Shout out Robert. Shout out to the legend Robert. Yeah, Robert's awesome. What was I gonna say? But yeah, I don't know. I was never really a fan per se until I played 2, and now I love Rayman. Thank you for the beatboxing.
One down, 2 more to go.
Sorry about that. I probably lost all my viewers. Oh, I lost 2. That's fine.
Where'd that giant come from? Don't know.
But don't die, Joey. In the game or real life? Because I can only guarantee one thing. I will die in real life.
No Cybertronian who's seen our once great home in its current form.
Stop. I mean, I'm not immortal. I want to stream a retro game next, but Paul and Dry will whine. Fuck them, dude. Dude, I enjoy retro games. They don't.
Tit Twister, Mr. Blister, Deadly Twister on Daddy's Fister, Sister was Fister by Mr. Magister on Testosterone Sister.
Bars, dude. 3 things in life are certain: death, taxes, and Jay's terrible taste. We must all die one day. No, dude, I would love for you to do some more retro streams. Here's the thing. I enjoy your retro streams. If you noticed, I'm usually there. I think the only time I wasn't was during your last, I mean, I was there lurking, but your Shin Megami Tensei 2, and that was just because work was fucking annoying. All right, I'm out. GG's. All right, peace out. Peace out, Project. Thank you for hanging out. Thank you for the beatboxing. Yeah. But yeah, Jay, I remember I asked you what game you would like for me to stream, and you said Dino Crisis. I'm curious, of the stuff that I've like shown you, like my N64 and my Super Nintendo, would you want to see any of those by any chance? Like any particular games there? Because like when I was streaming Donkey Kong Country, I was streaming from my Switch. Just peace Negroes, I'll allow it. Can one of my mods allow that? Hybrid Heaven, I never beat it. You want me to play Hybrid Heaven, dude? Is that allowed, Shotty? I'll allow it.
Peace
I'll allow
Negroes.
it. I personally don't care. Like as long as it's not like derogatory, I don't care. He's fine. Stream Time Crisis on an original cabinet, that would make me hard as fuck. That's not an option for me, buddy. Unfortunately, I can emulate the PS2 version, but even then, the gun part is probably a fucked up. I do have a gun con. So what I could probably do is I can capture composite signal from my PlayStation, and then I can use that in between. That also Quest 64 would be funny, but don't commit to beating it. Not worth. Okay, because those 2 are top of my list. And of the SNES games, I really did want to play the Donkey Kong Countries. Like I said, I started one, but it was on Switch. I'd be down to play that again, but the actual cartridge. That is. Remember I told you? I think. Oh, forget the stream. Joey. Wait, can I just come over to play Time Crisis with you? Sure, man. Sure, that'd be fun. What was I gonna say? Donkey Kong Country is the 2nd game I've ever finished. Super Mario World is the 1st game I ever beat in my life. And I remember, when I got to the credits, like it didn't register. I was like, oh, you can beat these things, you know? Like, I know it's weird, but like the concept just went over my head. Like I wasn't aware that they had an end. I thought it was just like an endless thing, like Pac-Man and shit. So when I first got to the credits and I beat the story, and I was like, oh, there's a goal here. Yeah, I was a dumb kid.
I don't care where it came
that was I remember exactly where I was at. It was 1998. I was either 7 or 8 when I beat it.
What the? Behind us! It's Optimus Prime!
I'll start at Quest 64 right now. Also, I liked Hybrid Heaven just because it felt like a weird, like we have Metal Gear at home, but it's an RPG, and you do wrestling moves for some reason, and it's an alien conspiracy. I was 3. Oh, Jesus Christ. You're in 1995, maybe? Or 1994? '95. Yeah, I said 98, right? Yeah, so I was 7 or 8. Yeah.
This will help the war effort.
But yeah, I know I've been playing a lot of this stuff. I really do want to finish Max Payne 3 and Resident Evil, of course, but I am working on a schedule that'll allow me to play more retro games, preferably with actual hardware, you know. I also have a fucking lot of PS2 games that I could stream. Like how Jay was saying, like because of upscaling, like it is easier to kind of just do that. Bronzer, sure. Because I feel like there's like 2 approaches you can take, right? Like, do you want the authentic experience with a cartridge, or do you want the highest quality because of upscaling and stuff like that? You know? What is this? What is it though? What is it? What am I opening these for? I can't use that. It's blue. I can't pick it up. Joe's gonna guy to give you a Mad Catz controller. Jerry, stop! Fucking asshole. She's gonna destroy my blinds one of these days. There's a... It's the Hardwire. Is that... It's like the Onion, kind of. Hardwire article. Fuck, I can't find it. There was a, it's like the Onion. I think it's called the Hardwire or something like that. And there was an article that says something to the effect of couple to introduce third partner, but gives them the Mad Catz controller or something like that. I forgot what it was. It was something to that effect. I butchered it, but it cracked me up. Alright, I have to upgrade some shit. Is it Path Blaster what I'm using? Hold on, let me leave. Thermo, Rocket Cannon, and Path Blaster. Okay, what do we got? What can I get? That's amazing. If I show up to the threesome with someone, I'm sold. LMAO. Put speed while in fine mode. Oh, nice. That's actually great. Then we got Quantum Stabilizer, eliminates recoil, speeds up reload time. Why not both? Alright. Perfect. Oh, Gambler. There's another upgrade. What do we got? What is this one? Fires a devastating shockwave round that randomly infuses 1 bullet per clip with synthetic destronium. Consumes ×2 ammo. Ew. Especially if it's a clear one. If you hand me a clear Mad Catz, you're getting butt stuff for sure. What's she yapping about? She wants attention. You hear her? Did you hear her? No, I think she's a little bored right now. Like I said, she's tackling my fucking blinds. But she has like toys right now. Like she's I saw her, like I have one of those things where it's like a tower kind of, but it's got wheels on it, or balls, and she like flings them around. Like it's cool. And then there's her box, and then she has like this little electronic fish, where as she messes with it, it starts flopping around, you know? I'm calling PETA. You tell that cat to keep your mouth. You forget about its fucking mouth. I call it Peter. No! Look, I don't think you understand exactly how much quality time I spend with this cat. She is, and I mean this in every sense of the word, a brat. Like, I love her, but I can't spend 24/7 with the animal, you know? He does evil. Yeah, they kind of are. They've killed more animals than people that abuse them. Yeah, exactly.
I found some Decepticons who need to be taught a lesson.
Shit. Yeah, hurry, we need someone to murder this cat. That's an exaggeration. You know, Peter tried to attack Mario 3 because of the Tanuki suit. Oh, I thought I could zoom in more. Jay, don't joke like that. They're just like ATF. Wait, what? If the ATF, what's the ATF? We're good at its job, and its job was just to kill animals. No, the whole idea with this is, you know, like, you know, shelters could be at capacity and they'll have to put down animals. Peter does that just at like a pretty large scale. I call it tobacco and firearms. Oh. Animal Throttle Force. I like that. Sounds like a cool like cartoon I'd watch.
They came with a ferocity no one had seen before. We Autobots.
It's like a bunch of like anthropomorphic animals, and they like it's like that. It's like Fast and Furious. Or SWAT cats. That's what I imagine. Fucking die, motherfucker! Agency of Total Foolishness. You did this. You did this! Got him. Here we go. Joe, you seem like a Thundercats fan. Oh, dude! Thundercats are on the prowl. Thundercats are loose. Damn it. Hear the thunder, feel the roar. Thundercats are loose. Thunder, 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 Thundercats. Dude, me and my niece fucking ate that shit up. Both of them. I remember when they got. What have I done? Yeah. I remember when they got the DVD release in like the mid 2000s. I got it at a library. I was able to check it out, and me and my niece, who was like 4 or 5 at the time, we binged that motherfucker. Is this what I ever felt? Oh shit. No, I love Thundercats. A lot, actually. Both of them. That's what I'm saying. That 2009 version, that was gone way too soon, man. That was a good show. We're getting pretty sleepy, getting lurkies, but text me after stream, Shotty. Have a good rest of your night, guys. Oh, peace out, Shotty. Have a good one. Thank you for lurking. Get some sleep. I should get some sleep in about half an hour. But will I? Yeah, dude, I love Thundercats. Lion-O, Panthro, Katara, Wily Kit, Wily Cat. Hell yeah, brother. Even Snarf. All right, big dog, are you going to bed too? I'm at work. Wait, what do you do for a living? You're at work. Wait, what time is it for you? Can't be. Are we not in the same time zone? Fuck Snarf. Every show needed a Snarf, okay?
It's Optimus Prime.
It's Opti Prime. Top security of the world, Craig.
I thought I ordered you to.
All right, buddy. Have a great rest of your night. Enjoy your shift, and thanks for hanging out. Actually, you got quiet. I forgot you were here. Yeah, I'm probably gonna. I don't know. I think I'll stream too much later. I work 11 to 7 a.m. God damn! I would hate that.
There's not much time left.
Fun though.
We'll cover you. No, we face them together. Push them back, Autobots!
Decepticon assaults.
Autobots, here they come.
Proton burst rifle. Holy shit! He like went in the sky. Nah. Serious question. Oh, what's the? I have a serious answer. My coworkers were talking about this when I pulled up. Are you gonna ask me also about if I want to, like, what the parents thing that fucking project was asking? I want to go to the office tomorrow.
Marauder on the right.
Marauder on the right. Sorry, I was checking chat. Hey, what up, Gruben? How you doing, buddy?
How'd you like that, Decepticons?
You Decepticunts. What's your question, DJ? Or did you leave? You just that would be kind of funny. Did you check out that special delivery? I didn't do it yet, not yet. But I do appreciate that. Actually, I need to double check and make sure I actually downloaded it. I don't think I downloaded it because I was in bed when I got that. But thank you for the reminder. In order to save your family, you had to eat it from the back of a guy who was pulling the trigger. If you do, your family will call you gay for the rest of your life. Do you still do it? Probably not. I have a very tumultuous family.
Where'd he go? No more warmongering for you.
Probably not the answer you're hoping for. Bro, the coworkers were having a screaming match. I believe it. Oh, fuck, I need Energon. Joey's like, sorry, Mom, at least I ain't gay. No, it's not that. I don't want anybody from fucking back. It's gross. Can I, like, ensure that I'll have no memory of it? Can I, like, Men in Black flashy thing them? And neuralize them? And myself. Because, I mean, if I can get drunk to the point where it's like, I'm not even, like, there. And then if I could just, like, not remember it afterwards, and they don't remember it afterwards, I'd be like, yeah, sure. Oh, why they would do it. On why they would do it. No, because then your family would be like, hey, it's booty snack. I don't know. It's kind of a lot. I feel like in the moment, it can go either way, I guess. Like I said, I have a very, my family constantly infights, you know? Like, you ever watch Doom gameplay, or you play Doom, and, like, you know, like, the demons are, like, fighting each other? That's my family. So it's like, one part of me is like, nah, let them fight. Fuck Scott. I love you, Joey. Oh, thanks, man. Wait, what's happening? Hold on. I'm calling him Booty Snack now. What up, Booty Snack? Not bringing up the fact you saved their fucking lives. I mean, are they not? Would they be grateful? Would they at least be grateful? Or are they just gonna talk shit the whole time? Oh, I thought I got him. Does he even have grenades anymore? I miss grenades. Sir, we are black. It comes with the territory. That's fair. Good point. Are you mixed? Are you mixed, DJ? Are you black and Puerto Rican? There's a gang violence joke in there somewhere. Yeah, there is. Because I'm black and Mexican. We're like same, but different. If so.
Let's do it together.
Warpath. Oh, look at his back. That's cool.
Heavier than it looks. Well, then, Warpath. Move forward and keep your
fiber optics open for
Time is
more
it?
Decepticons.
Yeah, I'll probably end in like half an hour. We'll see. Throw up a sign, Joey. Zoltan. I see it this way. You save their lives, they call you booty snack, and the moment you bring it up, you save them, they're like, well, no one told you to save us. Oh. Yeah. Probably not then. Purchase. No, wait, what am I using? What weapon am I using first of all? Oh, the proton burst rifle still?
Optimus, you are the last hope.
Purchase? I already have one. What are you talking about? I'll purchase it anyway. Fine. And then upgrade. We got tachyon transmitter, foot speedball, scope mode. That's nice. What fucking damage? Give me some fucking damage, you bastards. Reload time by 50. That's actually nice. I don't have enough. So I'll just do the ammo with it. Upgrade, baby. That would be me. Look, man, I didn't ask to be saved. Exactly. So I'm a type of Puerto Rican that half of my family's made up of shadow people. And then there's the other half that looks like printer paper, but we all grow afros. Okay, okay. So your race is black, because I think race is like how you look, right? But ethnically, you're Puerto Rican, right? There's some shit to that. I think that's how it works. Shy people made me spit out my drink. Correct. Okay. See, ethnically, I'm normal. Fuck you, Jay. That's pretty good. Ethnically, I'm black and Mexican. I guess race is black? Brown? I don't know. I don't fucking know. I wasn't ready for that line. Yeah, that was pretty good. Yeah, good one, Jay. Shadow, money, wizard king. Jay, what are you up to? You playing anything tonight? Oh shit! Rimworld. Oh, is that the one where it's like me and I think me and Scott, me and Rooster, who had a cult, right? That's the cult one, right? Where we were cannibals. Also, I'm gonna go pee. Be right back. Be right back. Yeah, but you all died. Yeah, that one was fun though. That one looks fun. You know, after. When I fill out my government forms, I put Hispanic, Latino, and African American. Nice. Fuck you, Litwick. All right, be right back, guys. He doesn't even curse around me most of the time, so that'd be a weird one to hear. Yeah, because you're so fucking innocent, it feels weird cussing around you. That's why. It's like cussing around a kid. I didn't mean like that, but you know what I'm trying to say. Like, I feel like I shouldn't. Until you start cussing. Honestly, you gotta bump those numbers up. You don't cuss enough. It was like 18 gigs for me, I think, on my PlayStation.
Blake,
something crazy like that.
Anything repaired or even a simple bypass, and I'm your man.
If any of you take on any damage, get back to me ASAP, and I'll help you out.
Brother!
I'm not carrying any dead bodies back.
I have the recessive genes.
I'm locked, loaded, and ready to make shit dead.
Blah, blah, nigga. All right, let's go. I don't know where I'm going. I don't know where I'm going. I don't know where I'm going. You come through. Oh shit!
Okay, alright. Yeah, right. Hello, there got my face. Crumpets. These are scones.
How many are there?
Well, I'm American. Bits, biscuits.
Oh yeah, that's funny. I think last time I mentioned my sisters, I was talking about Cybertron. I was like, he's such a Chad. I love him so much. I'd let him date one of my sisters. But only Cyber. But he's taken, so he can't. I'll let you know after.
Did you kill Enrico?
Really?
Oh shit.
Yeah, like this.
Rebecca, no!
I'll show you. Chris, I have something.
I'm back.
Now, walk.
Fuck, I missed out on the candle. Oh, it's a candle Pokemon? So I'm gonna say this. It's wild when I'm having an argument with my cousin who is darker than the back of Wesley Snipes' knee, and I'm wider than the baby from the Teletubbies. And we're screaming at the top of our lungs. Nice. But yeah, I've heard you say it on stream. Darker than the back. Yeah, I have no words. That's pretty good. Yeah, I think one of my favorite bits was when I went to your channel. One of your recent streams, you were arguing, like, I think you're playing Fortnite, and you're being like, oh, I'm gonna play this is the blacker one. Like, no, I'm gonna be the blacker one. Like, who's the blacker one? You guys were like kind of arguing about it, and it was cracking me up. And failed. Oh, wait, that's right, I did die.
Move forward and keep your optics open for more Decepticons. We fight for our freedom. You chose the wrong side.
All right, see you guys after the ad. Transformers! Reminds me of that dude, Michael Blackson. He reads comments about him all the time because he's dark. He's dark. One of them was like, this man's skin tone is void. Oh my god. Bro, you're gonna love the full segments of Do You Know Black People? I quiz a shit ton of non-black people about black culture. Oh shit, it's right there. Ah! Autobots, quit sucking. Okay. No! What is that? What's it gonna do? Is it gonna kill me? Oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit. God damn it. I should just stay fucking inside. I should fucking stay inside. You've seen it. Wait. Difference between Michael Blackson and Midnight
There is an
is
annual competition between poached eggs and scrambled eggs to see which is better.
Bruh, my dude.
Poached eggs
He's
are
darker
unbeaten.
than Under the Bed. Oh, that guy? Is he the guy that's like from Next Friday? He has a CD that's like eaten into. He's like, I can't get jiggy with this. Is it that guy? Is he that comedian? Yup. Okay, I have seen him. Nice. Yeah. Wild Now. Is he? Dude, fuck, dude. I haven't seen Wild Nights since high school. Is that show still going? Next Friday? Yeah. Next Friday is the best one. I like Friday 1. 3's okay, but I think Next Friday is like my personal favorite. I can't get jiggy with this shit. Yeah, exactly. Motherfucker. All right, this is the one, guys. I have a feeling, okay? I'm gonna put my heart in the cards. His name is Michael? Joey. Hey, what up, Griffin? Wild Night owns MTV2. Is MTV2 still going? They can't have like 40 kids. Oh yeah, that show's still going. He has alimony to pay. Dude, pull out, man. I don't. He has more than 10 kids, doesn't he? Like on the real. How many kids does he have? Can somebody look it up? You missed my joke. Oh, my bad. There's an annual competition between poached eggs and scrambled eggs to see which is better. Poached eggs are unbeaten. Nice. I see what you did there, buddy. Nick Cannon couldn't pull his hand out of his pocket. I know, right? 23 last time I checked. Wait, are you fucking serious? He has 23 kids? I lied, it's 12. 23 was rumored. Okay. Like I was saying, I knew it was more than 10. I know it was over 20. 12 that we know of. Yeah, there you go. He could have more. Probably does. Probably be like, look, bitch, just take this fucking 100K and leave me alone. Figure it out! Other girls have said so, but can't prove it. I mean, you can prove it with a fucking eternity test. Is that thing still shooting? Oh. No! Oh my god! Did I just kill all my teammates? I killed all but one. Sorry, Warpath. It's just us. You know, yeah. Joe, you should do MTV Cribs tour. It will be very quick. I'm like a step down from a fucking, or a step above a studio. Just where you keep your 17 Lamborghinis. I have my one Kia Soul that's fucking damaged because fucking vandalism. I figured MTV died around the same decade G4 TV died. Somebody needs to take those keys from him before he gets into triple-digit children. Honestly, he should just get a fucking what do you call it? A vasectomy. Oh shit.
Optimus, you close enough to mark that port cannon?
I already got it, baby. Oh wait, another one? Okay. Fuck!
I must get closer to mark the target.
Out of range? Okay. Well, wait. Because I need ammo. A little energon to top me off wouldn't hurt.
Metroplex, take it out.
Oh shit! Nice. Look at this shit. Most of his baby mamas can't keep men because they don't feel comfortable with Nick coming around, and he literally made part of the agreement for them to keep the houses. Wait, and he literally made it part of the agreement for them to keep the houses. That's good for him then, right? For them. Houses, nannies, etc. Nick Cannon is the Helen Keller of our generation. He can't rap, he can't pull out, but he's kind of funny and somehow ends up everywhere. I can't say I've ever really been a fan of Nick Cannon. I remember I was funny and all that when I was a kid. Then there was the Nick Cannon show. Hey, no party like a Nick Cannon party because a Nick Cannon party don't stop. Remember that shit? I thought that was cool when I was like 10. And then I liked Drumline. What's the name of that fucking movie? The Drumline? Does that sound right? The Drum Movie. That was a good movie with Zoe Saldana in it. When the fuck was Helen Keller ever funny? She could never say her punchlines correctly. Kenan Kel was way better. Oh, it was 100%. Kenan Kel's goated, dude. Stop making my jokes better than I do. Joey's reading hard. Joey, is reading hard? It is when I'm playing games. Also, fuck you. Did I mess up something? Oh, it's because I'm like stuttering and shit. I mean, in my defense, I have been drinking a little bit. Okay. Who loves orange soda? Kel loves orange soda. Is it true? I do. Ooh. Oh, cool. Thanks, Metroplex.
Thanks for the assist, Metroplex. You are most welcome.
Peace out, pimp. We're gonna Sunday night? Tragic. Well, I mean, I'm not like drunk. This is my last beer, but yeah, a little bit.
Even I was caught off guard by the depth of Megatron's depravity. I should have anticipated his
Path Blaster. Which one is this? I like Path Blaster. Yeah. I think I do. We have the same name, by the way. Oh, wait, are you Joey? Is your name Joey? Are you Joseph? Josephilius Marquilius? Shut the fuck up, Scott. Oh, I like that a lot. Joe, but my family calls me Joey. What's on your birth certificate? Is it actually Joseph? Because a lot of people call me Joseph, thinking that's my name, because Joey's short for Joseph. But my legal name is Joey. That one's almost too good. That was good. Josephilius. Jotavion Marquise. My middle name is Joseph. Legally Joe. Oh, okay, that's cool. Yeah, I have like 2 people that call me Joe. Everybody else just call me Joey or Shat.
The last prime. This is an honor.
I'm not using the proton burst. I'm using Path Blaster. Oh yeah. I'll use the gambler. Oh, I guess switch weapons here too, dude. DLC. Ugh. Got delisted. I ain't getting that shit. Sounds like a legendary Pokemon. Jotavion is actually kind of sick, not gonna lie. Are we all the same person? Right? It's like the Powerpuff Girls, but we're all Joe in some way, one way or another. Streamboo.com, remove the space. Oh, do I have a mod here? Can one of my mods fucking kill this bot? Or I'll do it. Wait, auto-modded? Nah, it's fine. If it's auto-modded, it's fine. I don't even know if you guys saw that even. Octavian, Glockmillion stealing stuff? Oh my god. There's a bot? Yeah, it got auto-modded, but I can see it. So you guys are fine. Shut the fuck up, man. That was good. Stealing stuff. Wug Trio? I'm about to do a Doug Trio after stream. You know what I'm saying? There's a bitch. Where they at? Right there. I'll do the upgrade this shit. And then Poke Beta. Criminal Energy Blade increases melee damage by 75. I don't never melee though. There they go. Oh, DJ, you do. Wait, are those free or did you actually sub? Is that a Luigi? What is that? What is that? Tiny. What is that? Oh boy, I'm subbed. Oh, thank you for the sub, man. I must have missed that. Did you do it on stream or did you do it off stream? It's Cowboy Luigi. I love it. Is it from Scott's favorite Mario Party? Is that what the one? No, 2 is the one with like the Western theme, right? RimWorld, nice. Jay is playing RimWorld. They should be streaming right now. What's that fucker doing? Throwback Blaster, Proton Burst Rifle. Trade. Oh, it's all expensive. That's a good one though. Back and then honestly, Cycle Page. The assault rifle is kind of not bad, but this one does more damage. So I'll equip it for now and I'll leave. Damn, bro, if you're showing mad love and you stay forgetting about me, it was during your anniversary, dude. I'm sorry. Did you? Because I remember there was a few gift subs that I gotten. Did you actually sub during that? I'm sorry, man. My bad. I appreciate you. I'm sorry. I didn't mean it like that. Damn, bro. Yeah. It was during your anniversary. I just rewatched the Michael Blackson video. My rap name should be MC Night Night. Killing me. Burnt Crispy. Nice. Yeah, sorry, DJ. I didn't mean it like that. There's a lot of info coming my way, and I'd be fucking up. I'll take the blood. No, I'll take this one. Oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, Optimus, no! Oh shit, they're right there! It's because I'm black, huh? Reverend Jenkins will hear about this Bible study, brother. In the next brother. Oh, sorry. Reverend Jenkins will hear about this. I hear this in the next brother. Oh my god, I can't read. Fuck! No! Reverend Jenkins will hear this next Bible study, brother. The joke's on you. I don't go to church. Oh, Reverend Jenkins, I said, hey, what up, dog? You know, that was one of my favorite lines in Good Burger. When, I guess Kel, or Keenan was talking to Kel. He was saying something, he's just like, puts his hand on his shoulder, he's like, is it because I'm black? They're both black. Sinbad. What movie is that from? I haven't seen Sinbad since, like, It's Always Sunny, that one episode.
Optimus, the Marauder has us pinned down.
We'll take him together. Follow me.
Consider it done.
Made that movie. Holy shit. Hey, what up, Right Brain Podcast? Kel, we're both black, yeah. I never saw Good Burger 2 though. Is it good? Probably not. It's good in my opinion. Don't let Jay hear you say that. He hates fun. They'll be like, it didn't win any Academy Awards. It was written for retards or something like that. It's better than Coming to America 2. I didn't hear that, and I heard that movie was awful, but I would like to check it out. Coming to America 1 is one of the best goddamn movies we've ever gotten. Hey, where am I going? Oh.
Metroplex, I've marked the final warp cannon. Let's finish.
Final warp cannon. Fuck him up! Boom! Well then, slap me a smiley face sticker on my bike helmet and call me Jeffy. It's funny, I was actually thinking about Blank Man. What did he say? He's like, well, slap me and call me Shirley, or something like that. Sally? Slap me in the face and call me Sally. And he does, he slaps, he's like,
the arc shields are down. It's about to get torn apart.
alright, movie night is Blank Man, okay? We're watching Blank Man next time.
There's no time.
Ah! That's the longest time I thought Blank Man and Orgasmo. For the longest time, I thought Blank Man and Orgasmo were the same movie. Fuck no! Those are way different. I love both, dude. The fucking Orgasmo theme still cracks me up. Now you're a man! A man! Give it all you got to get to the top. Your journey for glory. I'm gonna pass out, man. Love you so much, Joey. Can't even describe how good of a guy you are. Thanks for my stream, my guy. Have a good night. Thank you. That means a lot, man. It means a lot. I hope you're feeling better. I hope you have a good night. I love you too. And then I'm actually install Rainbow Six Vegas. We'll play it soon.
Lights out.
That's an order.
Optimus, do you read me?
Bet. Sweet. Because I think I have it installed. If not, I'll install it tonight.
If you read me, the arc is going critical. You need to
I will install it while I sleep. Shit. Shit, nigga, shit. Press X to resist.
Megatron,
I didn't do anything, but okay. Peace out, Rooster. Everybody, give Rooster a follow. He's the shit, and I love him. Okay. Like, you know that part in ET? You guys ever see the ET audition with that dude that played Elliot? And he was like, he's mine. That's how I feel about Rooster. He's my Rooster. He's my foot. You can't have my Rooster. That's how it feels.
I'll stop when all of you are dead.
God damn, Megatron. You don't give a fuck.
Charge up the warp cannon. Wipe their precious ark off the face of Cybertron.
Have you guys seen Transformers 1? It was a great movie.
No one leaves without my permission. I wasn't asking. Always defiant to the end, aren't you, Prime? At every turn, you have thwarted my efforts to save this planet, to return it to its former glory. No more! This day it all ends, Prime! Once and for all! Megatron!
Megatron! Go fuck yourself! Metroplex Online. Damn! Wait, he survived that? Is he getting more like Dark Energon from the last game? Fuck you, Megatron. He's a bitch. Ever see those yuck mouth 2 again? Ever see those yuck mouth teeth again? I'ma slap you. What up, Bright Brain?
Leave. Now.
Fuck off. Now.
Decepticons! Megatron has perished, betrayed by his foolish pride. I, Starscream, am your leader now.
I'm the captain now.
Decepticons, return to base!
I don't remember him, like, dying.
Now that's a sight my optics have longed to see for some time. Enjoy the moment.
Like, I remember this one playing better, but I don't remember the story as much. So I'm wondering, like, what the fuck the Decepticons are doing here?
All the energon we saved for the Ark is gone? There's barely enough left to last a megacycle. We need to find more energon, and quickly. I have a hunch Grimlock may know where to start.
Grimlock!
Grimlock? He deserted us. He left his post for a reason. I want to know why. Jazz and Cliffjumper are tracking him now.
Damn it! One plays Jazz, but it's fucking almost 12:30 for me. I got work in the morning. And I have to go to the office. No. It's an office day.
I can get to Grimlock's last known location until the rust storm
Cliffjumper.
clears up.
I just don't play as Jazz. Fuck Cliffjumper.
It'll have to do, Sideswipe.
There you go.
You ready, Cliffjumper? Always.
Do I get to pick, or is it going to be like, nah, nigga, you fucking Cliffjumper?
Try not to have too much fun without
Cliffjumper? Yeah, I'm gonna go to bed. But Jazz is like literally
Let's do it.
one of, if not the coolest. Damn it! I'm playing as Cliffjumper, aren't I? Fuck!
Optics barely working. Keep moving.
All right, well that's my sign. Here's the thing. Everybody, step into my office. Hi. Hey there, God. It's me, Joey. We are going to see who's live. Could be, you know what? Because I want to. I don't want to, but I have to raid out because I have to go to bed because I have to work tomorrow. So he's playing Peggle. Shit. We got Rin. We got Hey Artie. We got Bo. Oh, we got fucking Bo. Let's raid out to Bo. I love Bo. Everybody, Bo's the shit, okay? You would be doing yourself a favor if you not only followed, but just hung out, you know? He's a great dude. He plays a lot of like Souls-like games, horror games. And right now he's playing Here's to Fathom, which is like an anthology horror series where each, I think this to be like shorter games, like a couple hours, but good is what I've been hearing. So we're gonna raid Bo. Bo is the shit. Follow him, por favor. It would mean a lot to me. Ooh, will take me to Bo. Yeah, I'll take you to Bo. I'm gonna take you for a ride. Alright, anyway. 4 viewers. Okay. Everybody tell Bo hi. Alright? And good night. I love you all. Mwah. Fuck, I don't wanna fucking work tomorrow. Wait, a sentry? This honestly might be enough. Audie, do it and I'll raid out. I think as long as you do that, I think we're good. Because the chat will keep up. I believe in you, Shoddy. The raid's gonna happen sooner or later by itself. Shoddy. Okay, cool. Alright. Bye-bye.